register to vote or the census or stuff like that, so it's not you vote for this candidate or this issue?
So there hasn't been any specific policy proposed. I think the first goal here is to have the MUS have a uniform policy, so it's not different on each campus. I imagine though when we get to that stage, that is a topic that will come up about which kinds of groups will be allowed and not allowed. So yeah, that's a great point. Okay, any other discussion on this topic? All right, we will now move in to a discussion about the coronavirus. Secretary David, will you please pull up our action plan? Thank you. So I sent this all out to you yesterday, and I trust that you all took the time to read it. What this document does is outline some of the things that we already do that would prevent the spread of disease, some changes that our agencies are making in order to mitigate the spread of the coronavirus, and then some indication of where we're leaning should there be a partial or full closure of the UN campus. I highlighted in this document childcare, transportation, and the food pantry just because they had some more sensitive purposes that I think would spread coronavirus more than our other operations. Does anyone have any questions? Senator Tarallo, I've got you.
I was wondering, if President Bodner and his staff, when they will be able to get an official decision out to the students about whether or not there will be a full campus closure? Is there any kind of timeline for when we might get that?
So this discussion is under review pending new information, and there is no set timeline for deciding that.
Thank you.
Vice President Hanley?
The other thing is that there's a lot of directive from the county health department as well. So the decision to go remote or close or whatnot might not necessarily be the decision of campus leaders. It'll be more like county health officials.
Does anyone else have any questions about Senator Flanagan?
Just for like the relevance of the assembly, what was, is there any sort of like, I mean, I've talked about this with Vice President a little bit, but I was wondering what the action plan for Senate itself is.
Yeah, so VP Hanley is working on a plan for that. I think the intention is to move to Zoom meetings in order to keep Senate running. I'll allow you to elaborate.
It'll be in my other, later in my report. So if you want to wait till then, it's a little bit more different than this because this is more of like how the office will respond and how our agencies will respond instead of how our government will respond. But I am working on a plan and I will get that out to you hopefully by Friday this week. I've just had like everything kept piling on me for the last couple of days. So it might be on Sunday, but there is a plan and we will finish Senate this year and we will finish elections this year.
Senator Fulton?
So when, I don't know if this is probably time to bring it up, but when I was talking to other deans, like during like university committees about this, how does this affect students who have like practicum hours or students who have to observe, like do student teaching and stuff like that? How would that work for them? Because if this place gets shut down, then I'm pretty sure that public schools are also going to have to get shut down as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't have an answer to that question. It was brought up this morning at Cabinet, and it sounds like they don't really have a full answer on that. But they did indicate that should classes go remote, that there are certain courses that will have to have exceptions made for them. But as far as student teaching goes and practicum hours in other places that will be closed, that will be at the discretion of that place. So if Missoula Public Schools close, that will not be because of anything UM did. It'll be because Missoula County Public Schools have closed and UM won't have any influence over that decision. That's all I really have on the context for that, but I do know that the administration is looking into that and trying to find solutions for all extenuating circumstances. Senator Hurley.
Senator Fulton.
Yeah, I guess I understand that it's not the university's fault that schools or organizations shut down, but it is the university's job to make sure that seniors specifically graduate that have to do practicum hours and have to get teaching hours done. And I mean, as a social work student who kind of got an email that wasn't necessarily sure, today that said kind of we weren't sure what to do. It is nerve-wracking to hear that. So I guess that's my concern. So.
Senator Porkish?
Yeah, I was just wondering, because I've heard a little bit of discussion about labs and grades of labs throughout the rest of the semester. Is there been any about that?
Yeah, so there have been a variety of extenuating circumstances brought up in all discussions that I have participated in. There are no hard decisions about anything yet, so the answer to any question like that, what will happen to this specific class, what will happen to this kind of credit, the short answer is that I don't know, but those discussions are being had and solutions are being searched for. Senator Flanagan.
I was wondering if there's been any discussion on how this will impact like the impact student employees, how they can be employment paid in the event of a shutdown, or if they're kind of like just curious.
So student employees at ASUM will continue to get paid should the campus close or if there's a partial closure. The indication from cabinet this morning in the campus communication that was sent out was that even if classes went remote, campus itself would not close. So dining would be open, housing would be open, administrative services would be open, but that administrative offices or people who worked in them would have the opportunity to work remotely should they choose to. So I asked about it this morning and they said that student employees in places that were open would still be permitted to come to work. Senator Johnston.
I guess this is kind of a weird question. During your meetings, were there talks of a potential school shutdown at all, or were they talks about doing classes remotely?
So currently, the only option that is on the table is remote classes. The reason for that is that university employees are state employees, and so we can't just have them not work. The only way that the university would fully shut down and close is if Governor Bullock shut down all state work.
Thank you.
Any more questions or comments about the coronavirus in general or about the ASUM action plan concerning agencies in our main office? Senator Jimmy.
Big part of my ignorance, but are there any reported cases within our state?
No, but I'll touch on that. So there are currently 200 test kits available in the state of Montana. As of this morning, 20 of them had been used, 18 of them were negative, and 2 of them were inconclusive, but there are currently no reported cases of the coronavirus in the state of Montana. Any other questions or comments? Okay, and before we close this discussion, I just have one reminder that if students are asking you questions about the university's response to coronavirus or ASUM's response to coronavirus, please do not answer them yourself. I know it's really disheartening and you love to speak to students and interact with them, but concerning the severity of this issue, it's really important that we're sending them to the guidelines presented by the CDC, the campus communication sent out by President Bodner, and the coronavirus website on the University of Montana. If they have more specific questions about the university's response to coronavirus or ASUM's response, please direct them to my phone or my email. Vice President Hanley?
I also, in the group chat today, and I'll send it out in an email on Friday when I send out my ASUM action plan, ASUM contingency action plan, but please don't refer them to the Curry Health Center coronavirus website, although that one's useful and definitely worthwhile to visit to. Direct them to the umt.edu/coronavirus website. Both of them are very different. One presents information about the university and also health guidelines, and then the Curry one is about the Curry Center website. So please direct them to the University of Montana website, not the Curry.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. I don't have anything in my other, but if at this time anyone has any questions about anything else that happened on campus, those times since we didn't have the Senate meeting, Senator Tirallo.
We're in March and before you know it, finals will be here. Things tend to move quick. So I was wondering, would it be possible to sometime in early April, someone, I believe it's Megan Stark, to give a report on the success of the no fines for general circulation items in the library?
Sure, I will be happy to summon her.
Or request, I guess.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments for me? All right, thanks everyone. So ends the president's report.
So begins the Vice President's report. The first is committee updates. So Secretary David, can you please pull up committee assignments? The review committee will be up there. Oh, sorry, can you go to the left, Secretary David? There are no changes to the upper ones, so you don't have to worry about that. There's an interview committee. Senator Gluckert stays chair, so. And then I'll talk more about committees and my continuity of government plan. Senator Terrell.
I can just scroll back to interview and we can't see it.
You can just go there.
Cool, thank you.
Keep going down. Oh, shoot, sorry. Can you go back up? I meant to do this before. Can you add, sorry, go down just a little bit. The one thing, you don't have to make a motion for this, but I'm adding this right now, is Senator Morgan Corkish will be the vice chair for marketing and outreach. Senator Kiefer. Oh, well, thank you. That's pretty cool. All right, Senator Kiefer.
Yeah, so there's a few open spots in sustainability, and I just want to say, like, if anybody would like to be on that, I highly encourage you, because we definitely need some more people.
Once the new senators come on, I will be filling open committee spots. So for those, I know JD is missing a few, sustainability, and others, elections as well. I'll try to get that filled. Senator Jimmy. Yep.
Move to add Jordan Jimmy to the committee.
Okay, there's been a motion to add, hold on one second. Been a motion to add Jordan Jimmy to the Sustainability Board. It's been moved by Senator Jimmy, seconded by Senator Gluckert.
Yes.
Unanimous consent has been called. Is there any discussion or objection? Discussion or objection? Discussion or objection? All right, seeing none, to quorum Senator Gluckert, that motion is adopted. I'm gonna wait for it. Does anyone else want to get on my speakers list? Senator Anderson.
Can you scroll the page up?
Yes.
Stay down or
Yeah, it's gonna be all the way at the bottom. It loads. Can you do this without seeing the JDL committee, Senator Anderson?
No. Can I pull it up on my laptop?
Can you go down all the way? And
Can you control S?
Yeah, refresh it.
hold on, guys.
wait. Hold on. Okay, go up just a little bit. There you go. Up. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Move Taylor, or Senator Gregory to vice chair of JDO.
Okay, there's been a motion to make Senator Taylor Gregory as vice chair by Senator Anderson, seconded by Senator Gluckert, and unanimous consent has been called. Is there any discussion or objection? Discussion or objection? Discussion or objection? Seeing none, that addition is adopted. Can you go over to university committees once you're done? I can make that change later.
Wait, which one?
I can make that change later.
Oh, what did you want to do?
Yeah, just on the university committee time. There's not that many changes. I did remove everyone that was on the defunct committees list just because I think it's a waste of time to keep you on the defunct committees. So, Senator Gluckert.
Move to take myself off ADA.
All right, there's been a motion by Senator Gluckert to remove her from the ADA team university committee. It's been moved by Senator Gluckert, seconded by Senator Terrell. Unanimous consent has been called. Is there any discussion or objection? Discussion or objection? Discussion or objection? All right, seeing none, Senator Gluckert's been removed from the ADA team. Remember, if you need to be taken off committees, please email me beforehand. Any more discussion? Senator Jimmy.
This should have been done before, but I moved to remove myself from the DAC.
That's right. I forgot to do that. I apologize. You made that motion last meeting, right? Yeah. You'll be taken off. I'm just sorry. That was the one thing I missed. Any more discussion? Seeing none, I'll now entertain a motion to approve committee
So
assignments.
moved.
Moved by Senator Fulton and
Second.
seconded by Senator Gregory.
Yeah.
Unanimous consent has been called. Is there any discussion or objection? Discussion or objection, discussion or objection? Seeing none, committee assignments have been approved. All right, the next thing in my report is committee minutes. So just a reminder, please send them to me in addition to putting them in the Senate folder. It's important that they're sent to me so I can upload them to the website, as I'm the only, or one of the few ASUM executives that has access to the box folder that's on the website. Any questions about that? Cool. Make sure just to do that as vice chair. Next, we're gonna go to office hour tasks. So the first thing, pay attention to my weekly emails. It's vitally important that we're reading through the whole thing because in there, I usually put some office hour tasks like tabling or class reps. The second thing is I did say to do class reps this week. The way that you can find the class list folder is by going into the elections committee folder and clicking through that. There's about like 600 or so classes in there. So please just pick a class and go to it, email the professor, and specifically talk about what ASUM is, and then also remind them that the election is coming and to run for Senate. There's already a script in the box folder, but just please add on to the end of it. You can run for Senate and vote in the elections. So does anyone want to add anything to that or have any questions, Senator Corkish?
Yeah, so a few more things. Professor Cook specifically requested that we keep these back up under 2 minutes. It's really important to us, or to them allowing us to come back in every year, because the more motivated with us to come to the minutes per process, the less we have access to students. And then additionally, like, please, I know it's like easy and convenient to like just give a class rep in whatever class you have. In whatever science. Please just like go to other departments, like really accurate information on slides. For years, that every time we come around to elections, we do class reps and same with that courses. So just go to other departments.
Cool. Any more questions or discussion about office hour tasks? Seeing none, the next thing I have is the ASUM Student Service Award. So this was sent to you separately, I believe, yesterday or late Monday. So please get me your nominations if you have one or any by the due date, which I believe was either Friday or Sunday. Please include a brief paragraph. I've already received one nomination so far. So if no one sends me any nominations, it looks like it's going to be a pretty easy vote. And then we will be voting on that over break instead of during the meeting. And that's just because it's going to be a little bit easier, especially if we have to go to Zoom capabilities after break. We can just get that out of the way, and then we can make the plaque and send it to the recipient. Senator Johnston.
Would you send you a note or would you?
Email. Yeah, you gotta send me an email. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions about that? Great. Seeing none. The next thing I have is transition. So a couple things here. The first is for the Senate transition product document, whatever you want to call it. Those documents are pretty much finalized with the exception of the committee transition, which I will be coordinating over spring break to get like a committee transition folder set in stone. So that's pretty cool. If you have any additions that you want to see that, or you just want to swing by and stop by my office and see it sometime, please do. It's a pretty cool project, and hopefully we should get the centers up to speed. The second thing is the video project. I will be probably continue doing that regardless of any campus developments at the beginning of spring break. I'm pretty sure some people have expressed interest, but I only have one person down, which is Senator Turallo so far. So if you're interested in that, please send me an email so that I can keep track of that, because I think some of you talked to me about being interested in doing that project, and I just totally forgot. So I apologize for that. Send me an email if you're interested, though. It'll probably be the Monday or Tuesday of spring break, whenever I have time to finalize the clips that are being shot, and then we'll get it done. So any questions about that? It should take no longer than an hour and a half. Cool. Oh, and then the other thing is that we're working on the executive transition as well, which I'll actually get into next. So if you are interested in any of our jobs, feel free to stop by our office hours and, get to know what it's like. We do quite a bit in our jobs, and we're pretty versatile on what we do. You may have a good understanding of what we do. You may not have a good understanding of what we do. So a good time to do that would be stop by our office hours and chat with us. You can also set up an appointment and do that. And then also during that, we'll go over a little bit what the transition will look like. And I'm actually going to touch on the transition during my other two as well. But basically, right after elections, the week after, the 2 weeks after, you'll just be meeting with a ton of admin the whole time and getting oriented to campus as well as transitioning yourselves into the position. So you've got questions about the transition week, position, anything like that besides campaigning and elections, we'd be more than happy to answer those questions. Is there any questions about that? Cool. Seeing none, that moves me into committee reports. Also, if you're sending notes my way, I'm going to wait to respond to them until after my report, just because I'm going to have a little bit to do here. So I have 4 committee reports, and one of them is a mass committee report, so I'll do that first. During the Montana Associated Students meeting, I brought up changes that I wanted to see in the governing documents, and Mass has decided to charge me with leading a task force on revising those governing documents this year. I helped create the bylaws, and now I am going through the Constitution and amending that, as well as amending the bylaws that need to be adjusted at this point. Currently, it's a task force of 2. It's me and the vice president from the Associated Students of MSUB. But if you're interested in hearing more about that, let me know. It's pretty mundane, to say the least. So I don't know if all of you find that too exciting. The second thing is the College of Business Dean search, decorum. So the finalist schedules are set for the week after spring break. And if you're interested in attending the open forums, let me know and I can put it on your calendar. I've already put it on a few people's calendars that are in the College of Business, but for those of you that aren't, just let me know and I can send calendar invites your way. Again, even if you don't think you can make it to one, just send me a note and I can put the calendar invite on your calendar, and that way you could be like, oh, I can make it too. And the other thing too is you could go to the reception after and meet the candidate and also get free food. That's pretty cool too. So let me know about that and I can put it on your calendar. I'll also send out the link to the Provost website about how to watch the open forums that you don't attend, as well as filling out the feedback form for the search committee to consider. So any questions about the College of Business Dean search? Cool. I'll put it on Senator Hahn's calendar.
Thank you.
The next thing I have is Sea Change Coordinator Search Committee update. So sorry, give me a second. So we just met on Monday to shortlist, and we have come up with 8 interviews to conduct, and those will be conducted the week after spring break. I believe the week after spring break. Actually, hopefully the week after spring break. We may have to stretch into the week after, but we'll be conducting phone/Zoom interviews, and the updated timeline is we'll bring those people to campus, I think by the 2nd or 3rd week of April, depending on how long it takes for us to do Zoom/phone interviews. And yeah, Liaison Reed, do you have anything to add to that report?
Decorum.
I guess no. So my apologies. I was just talking about the Sea Change Search Committee. Anything to add to that, or? Okay. Sorry for calling you out a little bit there. But any questions about that? All right, seeing none. The last one is the Summer Academic Council. That was supposed to meet last Wednesday, but that got canceled. So we will be postponing that meeting until April. So nothing to report on that. Any questions for me about any of my committee reports? Cool, seeing none, I'll move into my other, and the only thing I've got in my other is the ASUM contingency plan for if we go to remote learning. So what's gonna happen is that we're more than likely gonna go to Zoom. This is something that I am kind of familiar with, but I'm gonna train myself a little bit more on at the end of this week and going into spring break. This was actually the original platform that we were going to do our live streaming on, but because YouTube is a little bit more accessible and more well known, I just went with that one for this year. And actually, in my recommendations for next year, I encouraged next year's VP to transition to Zoom, as it allows people to participate if they are distance learners and cannot attend meetings on our campus. Since we didn't have any distance learners on our Senate this year, and YouTube is just a little bit easier to live stream on, I decided to live stream on YouTube this year. So with that said, we'll probably transition live streaming and our meetings to Zoom, which means that all of you will need to activate your Zoom accounts. I will send out instructions by the end of the week on how to do that, but it's basically like activating your Box account, so hopefully easy. So with that being said, I will also be sending out instructions to committee chairs about how to conduct their committee meetings on Zoom in the future. And for those committees, I'm asking that you post the information to your Zoom, and then I can share it on our Facebook, and we can abide by Open Montana meeting laws or Open Public Meeting laws. So we can advertise on our website and our social medias on how to conduct those meetings. And then I will provide more instructions on those emails, but this will be something that will be, I will be emailing and communicating with you all by the end of spring break. So please be aware of that. The other thing is office hours. I haven't figured out an action plan there yet. And to be honest, I'm frankly thinking about canceling office hours for the remainder of the semester if we have to go to distance learning. And the simple reason is that you have to be in the office to do your office hours. And it's pretty hard to do that if you can't come to the office. So what I might end up doing is just doing tasks that you have to complete during the week, and then that will count as your office hours instead of mandating a certain hour that you have to do your office hour tasks, which I think will be a little bit easier and flexible with the situation of distance learning. The next thing is elections. We will still be proceeding with elections. The campaigning, if it needs to be done remotely, will be done remotely. And I know that's not the most ideal circumstance, but we need to finish elections by April so that we can get the referenda that we need to get to BOR by May to them. We also need to elect officers so that they can go through transition week, represent ASUM as the new executive officers during that Board of Regents meeting, and that they're ready and capable to come into office during the fall semester so that they can have that entire summer to transition. This also means that for new officers, if we do go to remote learning, we probably won't be having in-person transition meetings with all the admin and possibly including ourselves, although the action plan for that may include the new executives for when they transition. So this means that all of your transition meetings will be done over Zoom. This also means that for the new Senate, they will have to do their new Senate meeting over Zoom as well. That is something that I will tackle later during the semester, but just for you all to be aware, there are a lot of issues and moving parts to this contingency plan that I am thinking about. But if there's anything that you don't think that I'm thinking about, let me know so that I can incorporate it into the plan that I sent out to you all on Friday afternoon. Any questions for me regarding that? Cool. That was the only thing I had in my other. Is there any questions for me about my report? Great. Seeing none, so on to Vice President's report.
So begins Biz Manager's report. All right. So you'll see all the accounts. I've switched to a different method here per the recommendation of Vice President Hanley. If you look next to each of the requests, it has the total amount, and then on the right, and then on the left is what was allotted by BNF. I like it. It looks clear. But you can see all the respective accounts, so I'll just go ahead and open up financial requests. So we'll be starting with China Table. They're resubmitting their special allocation request. They have updated their cover letter to express additional need, but I'll turn it over to a member of the board to give an authorship. Go ahead, Flanagan.
Yeah, I know this was a little murky considering that we saw these requests last week, or not last week, the previous Senate meeting. But personally, I felt that they did express additional need, and that was why I was comfortable forwarding this. And I felt similar sentiments from the board.
Johnston.
I was the only one on the board that was against funding this. And so if anybody has any questions about it, I would direct them towards the other people on the board. I felt that the murkiness was a little too much for me to fund this group. However, I do understand the sentiments of the board.
Darnell.
Yeah, I appreciate the overall sentiments, but if you guys have any specific reasons why you found it to be an additional need or redundant would be too similar to previous requests, that sounds helpful.
Go ahead, Flanagan.
Yeah, in their cover letter, they explicitly stated that they had like, I want to say something like 6 times more, 7 times more than their usual attendance to this event. It was a large amount, and that alone, I think, expresses exactly what additional need is. And then other statements in the cover letter also show what I felt was additional.
Johnson.
Yeah, it seemed like they expressed additional need in the cover letter. However, I felt that the room of needs supplies that are getting funded, I don't know if I was comfortable with building with additional need, and so that's why I felt uncomfortable funding it, so that's where I'm coming from, but they did express additional need in their cover letter, I just didn't know if this is the thing that we should.
Hanlon.
Yield.
All right, is there any discussion from the body at this time? Last call for discussion. All right, I'll now entertain a motion to approve this request amount of $210. Moved by Terrell,
Second.
seconded by Hanley. All right, unanimous was called. We don't have to do that, but objection noted by Johnston. All right, so we're done with that request. Next up, we have a STIP request from the Kaiman. Again, in the documents I sent out, it has a cover letter. So their business manager, Patrick Boise, was very thorough. He talked about some of the additional need that they need. I know there had been some questions about whether or not the Kaiman could request out of STIP. They can because they are part of the ASUM fee, and this would be similar to something like ASUM Sustainability asking for professional development out of STIP. They're currently not a part of the ASUM student activity fee. Kaiman is attached to our fee, so it seems to be appropriate. And in previous years, ASUM has funded the Kaiman and KVGA in times of dire financial need. So that's just a little bit of a preface. That is why we are seeing this request today. But I'll now turn over to the board to give an authorship. Go ahead, Johnston.
Yeah, so the board decided to fund this unanimously upon further inspection. We passed resolution 49 that doesn't allow us to fund this. This was one individual thing. This is 3 separate things. So maybe there's things that we could fund, but I would either vote to send this back to committee or have this. Yeah, I'd say have it come back to you. That's the best option. Please go back to that project.
Okay, I have Anderson.
Were they advised to check surplus for these shelving units before they do this request?
Yep, at publications boards, we talked about it. But they can still submit a request and they're allowed to do whatever they want. So, Matt Hanley,
What did you mess up on?
go ahead.
Yeah, so according to resolution 49, it says. Must submit a separate STIP request for each unique item. And so this isn't unique, and so the student thing is really weird, but that's fine. Right. Okay.
Okay, Darnell.
I don't know if anyone from work here into this, but the pictures provided in the file were, I just couldn't even see them. So I was wondering if that was from what printed or if that's the protocol itself.
I'll blame the ASUM copier for this one. But that was provided by Patrick Boise. So if you want higher resolution, I can get that up to somebody. Johnston? Okay. Did you have anything else, Senator? No?
No.
Okay. I have Anderson.
We'll send back to board on budget and finance.
All right, then a motion made by Anderson to send back to committee, seconded by Tarallo.
Yeah.
Unanimous consent has been called. Is there any discussion or objection? Objection noted by Nelson. All right, so it's then sent back to committee. I'll keep you updated on that one. All right. Zootown Cabaret. Now open up discussion on this for the board. They'll give an authorship. Go ahead, Johnston.
Once again, we decided that we should fund the school program on the soil in itself, which is about that. I would highly advise sending this back to committee.
Okay, Flanagan.
I'm curious as far as, and this is a question I can answer it. When it says a separate request for each unique item, what counts as a unique item? If they're like similar items, does that mean that they can be put together in one request? Just something I'm curious about for both that last request as well as this one.
If the author would like to, go ahead.
I mean, I thought we had a lot of discussion about this and a lot of hashing out about what was the unique item and what wasn't. And from my understanding, if the item was the exact same thing, so say in this instance, like they wanted 2 microphones and they're the exact same thing, and you could put them together. But microphones and speakers and cases are all different things that require different STIP requests, and for that reason, I think it violates the change that we made. I guess yeah, if we don't wanna follow that, then I would advise to send it to go back and change the changes that I originally made, but yeah, I'm
So unique allows for some discretion. I thought these three items together, put together a unit. I thought the unit was as a whole, so I allowed this to be seen by the board. The board seemed to think that was a good use of time as well. I still say there's discretion with the word unique. I don't think it's black and white. Or no.
Sorry, so that, does that pertain to the above 150 or just the fact that they're all in one box? Does that pertain to like the totally $150?
No, the issue is like the $150, the issue is that they're different items, and the reason that I wrote them as a team because I wanted oversight on over individual items, and I didn't believe that putting together multiple items into one request. I thought that putting together multiple items in one request forced us to either fund it in full, so that we had absolute discretion over where the money went, absolute control over where the equipment was stored, or we can fund it in all and we retain our control of the funds. That's why I wrote the resolution. But it's not being followed.
Can I follow? I mean, would you just suggest then that it's 3 separate slip requests for each item?
Yeah, that was my intention when I wrote that change in fiscal policy, that every single item that was different.
Separate slip requests for each item?
Yeah, that was my intention when I wrote that change in fiscal policy, that every single item that was different and molded to funding all the items in the request or not in the response.
Trello.
Send back to you.
Okay, there's been a motion to send back to BNF by Trello. Second by Hanley. Unanimous is called. Any discussion or objections? All right, seeing none, send back to BNF. Okay, next up, first trial request from Smash Club for Bozeman. Turn over to the board on budget and finance, given authorship. Go ahead.
Yeah, so for the Bozeman travel request, I went ahead and funded their personal card and one bit of what was being requested, and this was an effort to pseudo-ly only fund the spring shuffle. Of course, I have discretion in what they use the money on. However, some of these events fall out of our fiscal year, so they technically cannot use the money on that anyways. Moreover, the spring shuffle was the only one that we were getting paid for. I felt that the way that they were requesting this was kind of just setting up a travel fund for Smash Club, which is something I personally wasn't in favor of. I thought it was special treatment for a student group, and I was against that. So that's why I just wanted to fund only so far for the scuffle, and that's it. Moreover, I felt like it was appropriate use of how we have been funding emergency travel.
Okay. Anyone else like to discuss this request? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna build on that. I was funded pretty actively. I was just funded $200, but $100 since I had it out and money, and I funded pretty well. Given the state of the emergency spring travel allocation fund, that's why I think funded in higher amounts, and so I hope this is a separate request, at least in the way they really consider us to do that right now.
Go ahead, Fulton.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion to approve by Fulton the amount of $189. Fulton, is that the amount?
Yep.
Okay. There's been a motion made by Fulton to approve the amount of $189, seconded by Geraldo. Unanimous consent has been called. Is there any discussion or objection?
Objection.
Objection noted by Nelson, objection noted by Anderson. All right, motion carries. On to the next and last travel request. This is the second travel request from Smash Club. This is their trip to Seattle. So I'll turn it over to the board on budget and finance, given authorship. Go ahead, Johnson.
Yeah, kind of. The Emerald City had already passed, my understanding, and then domino effect that just recently happened, but it seems like it's recurring every 2 months, and so we're looking at about late April, which would sort of within the school year in the fiscal year, which is fine. We funded 150, so pretty similar. Someone's the reason it.
Anderson.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit concerned with funding this specific request. When one of the persons preparing the request was asked specifically earlier when the dates of the trip were occurring, they couldn't give us the date, and that makes me very uncomfortable. I don't want to fund a student group and give them money and then they can't use it because it turns out their trip ends up being in July. So I don't know, like, I'm just not comfortable with this, but I'm not also quite sure what to do about it either.
Senator Johnson, would you like to respond?
Yeah, so they came in and spoke to BNF on Sunday and kind of discussed the nature of these events and said that it's kind of hard to put in a date and it's kind of hard for them to walk down pages with kind of varying tables just based on how these events are set up and kind of how these events are run. And so to my understanding, they were shooting for the domino effect 18 and that was expressed to us in BNF. And so I don't think it was expressed, like you said, but that was our understanding that it was for domino effect 18, which would be in late April.
I have Terrell.
Yeah, I share Senator Anderson's concerns. And while Senator Johnson is very clear that they did go to BNF and clarify a little bit more, they seem to walk back on any sort of date when they presented to us tonight. And so I am not comfortable with funding this. If you disagree.
Flanagan.
Yeah, so I think there's a bit of a lack of miscommunication on what's going on here. I'm just kind of like how to figure it out. So Emerald City, I believe, was supposed to be taking place around this time. It was canceled by, I assume, the coronavirus outbreak in Seattle or whatever's going on there. Don't know if that 16 was taking place at the beginning of February, however, they ended up within that due to the prolongation of the emergency travel process. Don't know if that 17 was taking place as we were at the BNF meeting, so there's no way they were able to attend that one. Don't know if that 18 was coming up. It's a bi-monthly tournament, and so they expressed that they wanted to go to download that 18, so that's kind of what we were thinking to fund, the $150. As for the sort of around the year tournaments that they were talking about, that's the Bozo Weekly that they had in their previous request, and that's what they were talking about. They weren't talking about the Seattle. They're not trying to go to Seattle year round. They're only trying to go to one tournament in Seattle, and I believe that's Domino. What they'd like to do is go to Domino at 18. They're trying to have like yearly or monthly or weekly trips to Seattle.
Nelson.
I guess I want to know some of my frustration with the discussion around this group and like dates of travel. So in previous semesters, we've awarded this group funding at really high rates, either in full or close to full. For events which we didn't know the dates for, we operated on the fact that we knew that we'd go to these events. And we operated on good faith because with other student reasons that I mentioned before. And fundamentally, these groups have to go to one in order to receive them funding anyways. And so I guess I'm just a little bit frustrated that in the past, we've been willing to award this group money, and now we're subjecting them to intense scrutiny because it's a point of emergency travel request. When we know that they've gone on these kind of trips before and continue to go on them, how we're using. Thank you again, and provide us these benefits of trips and
Parliamentary inquiry.
Are we allowed to take past requests from the past semester or how we funded them? How we funded the group in the past and group now?
For this discussion, I will because this request is almost identical to those other requests, if not identical, with different dates. Next up, I have Johnson.
Yeah, so to kind of build off this group, they tried to attempt spring travel allocation and they missed the deadline, which that's not here or there, but I think if we would have thought this, it seems pretty clear that this group plans on attending domino effect meeting or something similar to it within that time period, and if they do request money and aren't able to use it in the next fiscal year, then they're not able to use it, they have that time and funding, so they don't use the money, so I'd rather fund them at $150 and frankly use it on.
Geraldo.
Yeah, I guess, and again, this has been discussed, but if members of the board want to clarify, if domino effect 18 was the event they were trying to attend, why was that not put in specifically in this request?
Flanagan got to it first.
Yeah, as I've already said, domino effect 16 was taking place during the emergency travel sort of like turnover that we were going through. And then domino effect 17 was taking place as we were deliberating on the board. So there's no way that when they originally prepared the request, it was for domino effect 16, which was before that even took place. It was before everyone was even canceled.
Go ahead, Johnson.
Furthermore, this is pretty similar to the request they put forward during spring travel allocation, so I think that they just put in the emerald season for the domino effect 16 just as a mix up in one. I put domino effect 17, so I think that by the time that we're seeing this, we was on this 2 weeks ago, and they're going to domino effect 17, I think it just is how long we can not kick this can down the line, just how many breaks we've had with the same
Anderson.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify something. We're not trying to put the group under intense scrutiny, but I do have some concerns about the timing, mostly because Seattle is a hotspot for our not so favorite friend. And I don't want the group to depend on this money and then not be able to use it because it's turning out push back into the fiscal year. It's also why I didn't not fund it and why I said I was unsure about what to do. Because I'm more worried about the students relying on our funds and then turning out we can't actually use them, and that's $150 less than now they have to come up on their own. That was my concern.
In my report later this I guess in like probably about 20 minutes, I'm going to be talking about student group travel during partial shutdown of the University of Montana. And I'll touch on that a little bit, but I would say just for this discussion, since we don't know yet, I won't factor that into the funding decision, I guess, because we haven't acted yet. Flanagan, do you have a point of information? Okay. Belcher, okay. I think you bring up a valid point, though. It's just I think we don't have enough information yet.
Well,
Okay, go ahead.
Seattle is canceling a lot of their major events and shutting stuff down in restricted travel. That was my concern because they're going straight to Seattle. That one's kind of fair. It's not like I'm not worried about people traveling to there. It's just Seattle's already canceling major events. So I don't want them to push it back and not feel used.
Fair. Yep. All right. Is there any more discussion on this travel request? Again, this still requires a motion to put it in a certain amount. Johnson.
Move on $150 in first car.
All right. There's been a motion made by Johnson Fund first and car amount of $150. Second by Flanagan. Unanimous consent has been called. Is there any discussion or objection? All right. Seeing none, the motion carries. That ends financial requests for tonight. So for committee reports, since we had board readings last week, I didn't have much. I'm not a member of MAS, so I don't get to give any cool updates on that. They don't like business managers there. For committee reports, Publications Board, they've recently published their postings for both the business manager and editor-in-chief. So we're waiting to hear back from those. I have received a few applications for that. So it's going to be a competitive class, so that'll be exciting to review in the coming weeks. Is there any questions about that process? Okay, seeing none, move on to my next agenda item, inventory policy update. So I wanted to give everyone kind of a debrief on this. I'm planning on submitting a resolution, not this week, but the following week, to try and outline a process through which student groups, when they request through STIP, would have to also fill out a separate form in which they would talk about the storage of the item, who it would be stored with, making sure that students have autonomy and use over that. It'll likely be that student leadership has to be in possession of it. It can't be a coach, it can't be a faculty member or advisor, because when students don't have it, it's hard to detail where it's at and who is in possession of it. So I'll be working on a resolution for that. I know a few of you have expressed interest in this policy, so if anyone wants to workshop some ideas or have any specific items they would like included on that, please let me know. And is there any questions on inventory policy update? All right, if any of you read fiscal policy, inventory section is just complete garbage, so it really needs a revision. Next up, KBJ Radiothon. This is their big yearly annual fundraiser. Right now they're doing a bunch of cool stuff. They've had concerts in the Flat recently in the back room there. They've been having Smash tournaments. They've been hosting events with Smash Club. They're selling a bunch of merch on their website. This is a big thing for them. They get a bunch of additional revenue from here. With declining enrollment, they get less few dollars every year, so they've had a bigger and bigger push to do Radiothon and to get more money through external funding. So I'd say find ways to be able to support KBGA if you can. They're doing volunteer DJ workshops. If any of you want to get on the radio waves and espouse your beliefs, or just do a music show. That'd be cool. They're always looking for different viewpoints. I could get in contact with Liz, the general manager, who is amazing. Okay. Birthdays. Brian kind of took this one. He brought the pizza tonight, so thank Brian for someone's birthday. Still have no information on that. I lost the sheet like again 2 months ago, so I have no idea what that is. But I think I will pass around a new sheet. In the event coronavirus, I'll be just sending like a email clickbait like happy birthday, congrats kind of thing. But in the event that we're still here, I'll be sending around a sheet for those of you who do have spring birthdays, because I've created a double standard for all those who had fall birthdays. All right, so into my other policy. So what I did want to touch on tonight is if the university does go into a partial shutdown for a few weeks at a time, I've been speaking with the risk management office on campus. It has been advised to me that we would suspend all group travel for student groups, because ultimately ASUM holds the liability of those groups, and we wouldn't want them to be traveling during what I believe the CDC is now called a pandemic, or World Health Organization is called a pandemic. So we would just advise that one would not permit student groups to travel during this time, but that would take effect once we go into partial shutdown mode. On a case-by-case basis, so far, we did have a few groups that are planning on going to events in Seattle. One of them, I won't speak to as to who, but they have since changed course on their plans, and we're now seeing an updated travel request from them because they decided that they didn't want to subject their students to that risk. And they had also talked with the risk management officer, Jason Sloan. He advised them, please don't go to the epicenter of a pandemic. So we're still ironing out the details of that. I'm planning on meeting with Jason again to kind of put together more of that action plan. But it might have ramifications for every student group. If we do something, I think should apply equally to all student groups. But thus far, we have been operating on a case-by-case basis. That said, I do have Flanagan. Okay. All right. And just for a heads up, so once we have reached a decision where it goes into partial shutdown, Kenzie Carter, our student group coordinator, will be sending out emails to all groups to probably, suspend all travel plans. We will not be issuing any funds for groups to travel in the event that we go into a partial shutdown. But then we would also be advising that student groups do not meet in public spaces during that point in time, because if you're not, hosting class on campus, I don't see the point in having a public option for student groups to come together and also come into contact and spread stuff as well. So I have Darnell.
Yep.
Okay, I have Belcher.
In the meantime, I also want to let everyone know that we've asked the student group coordinator to send out an email to all student groups reminding them of the CDC guidelines, the University of Montana website concerning coronavirus, the campus communications, and then additionally giving them a reminder to be mindful of cleaning up after themselves when they use community or public spaces at the university to meet, especially if they've been.
All right, is there any more discussion on this? Jimmy.
I am curious, so say in a situation where we are operating not on campus, say if there's a long-time event that's gonna happen, would that, not maybe traveling, but just allocations to special events or something like that, would that go business as usual?
So again, until a partial shutdown happens, it has been on a case-by-case basis. If it is something large in the community, I think that would also be a conversation we'd have to have with the risk management office for them to be able to assess. They're the experts. I usually defer to them. They're usually pretty good on that. Belcher.
If you have questions about events specifically, Paula Short would be a really good person to email. I know they're looking at things coming in the future and discussing what they legally can and can't cancel depending on who's renting the space and how the county health department would play a role in that as well. So she would have a lot of answers.
And I will touch on just one thing, at least with travel-related policies. So there is a precedent for ASUM to withdraw plans for groups to travel in the case of public health events. Ebola crisis was one of them in which they suspended. There was a group planning on traveling to Africa during that point in time. Ebola happened, so we did have a procedure through which we suspended funding for that and advised the group not to go. No members went, thankfully. Also, the CDC wasn't allowing travel, so they possibly couldn't have. But we're basically operating under that assumption of not allowing travel during the time of a global health pandemic. But if anyone wants to talk or has specific ideas about that moving forward, please let me know. And if you are a part of any groups that is planning on traveling in the next month, be looking for an email from me. All right. If there's no further discussion, that ends Biz Management Report.
And so begins committee reports. All right, let me get down to all you people. We got Kiefer Hahn, Anderson, Luker. Anyone on this side? Anderson?
Slackers.
Okay, sorry, I just didn't know if I missed anyone on this side, but I got ring count. All right, first one speakers, let's start Kiefer.
Cool. So International Council met on Monday. The main discussion was what the university plans to do with international students who are here on visas that require them to only take like a certain percentage of online classes, because typically they want them in more in-person classes than online classes, and they've expressed that the university and I believe the state would be making exceptions to those visas, so those students could move remotely with the rest of us and not lose their visas, as well as making visa arrangements for those students to be able to stay in the US longer and not spread disease.
Nelson. Sorry, I'll put you. Flanagan.
Concerning mental health education and advocacy, the chair Brennan asked me to ask the Senate to share the event that we have coming on. So it's a mental health dialogue with student group leaders. Yeah, that one. It's on the ASUM Instagram currently. So if you could just post it to your story, do a little blurb or something like that, that'd be super helpful for us.
Senator Hahn.
Yeah, University Library Committee met on Monday and we talked about a variety of different issues, but a few of the big items. The provost has outlined a vision, a 21st century vision for the library that is being backdated a bit to the summer but one of the general ideas is to form a college of information and innovation. They're engaging just ideas on that, so it's nothing really concrete. Librarian Stark did do a KPAX interview where she spoke to the library's change on fees and that it has been really positively received. I'm sure we could summon her to visit on that, but generally she has said it's been met very well. The capital investment package for the library is currently slated as number 2 priority in that for roof replacement, it is doubled its expected life, so that is something that they do want to take care of. One talk without any specifics would be to hopefully put solar panels on the top. It would be an acre and possibly the largest solar array in the state. And lastly, we just spoke on coronavirus a little bit from the library end. They are discussing the One Button Studios being available for professors and faculty to use with remote teaching. They did speak to the fact that they do have some laptops that they could make exceptions for students to take out for a longer period of time. However, Mansfield Library only has 20 and Missoula College has 7. Expanding chat service could be an option as well as email and Zoom. And second update that I have is regarding the census. I didn't get into my SPA committee report because we did meet this morning. Monper, Kenzie Carter, the folks from Forward Montana, Senator Ream, just discussed one big event that they are pushing is on April 1st. We're going to be hosting iCount Day. It's going to be we're still working out the details. I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody had any on that. But Forward Montana is going to be fronting us some money so we can get some swag things going for that and really get out the vote. Or not the vote, get out the word rather. And we're still working out some details on Lewis and Clark in particular, how they are going to be counted, if they are going to be counted administratively like the residence halls, or if they are going to be counted by self-report. Hopefully should have an answer with that shortly. And, we have a website. UM did launch a website for the census. It's very similar to the one that MSU has, but that is a resource. And if anybody has any questions, I'd happily yield.
Flanagan. Yeah, do you want the main speakers list or do you want to ask a question? Belcher.
Was the day of April 1st chosen?
It's the day that the census rolls out.
Okay.
So it's in conjunction with just that aspect. The main concern with that event is delineating students who are already being counted administratively in the residence halls so that other students who are maybe are not confused, thinking, oh, I'm a student, I'm already counted. So just that is one aspect of the angle we're trying to figure out from a marketing and clarification perspective, but yeah, that's fine.
Also,
Point of Information Center included.
April 1st is the day where you are on April 1st is where you are counted. So where you are on that day is like where you're supposed to count, like where you are.
Sorry, I understand.
So graduate council today, we talked about our revised schedule because the graduate students on the committee will be presenting a letter in support of increasing the RA and TAP on campus. So we'll be doing that, not next week, but the week after. They are also going to be forwarding a resolution from graduate council, to send it back to the Senate in support of the increase in pay as well. In addition, they talk about the innovation factory a little bit and the new certificate thing that is trying to come through. It got postponed because grad council wanted to see more information. And they also talked about some program reviews. So we did the SBA program today and we were waiting on philosophy. And there's one other big thing that we talked about. Oh yeah, we talked about coronavirus a little bit and its impact on our ability to do some stuff later in the semester, but that's all.
Can you elaborate more on why grad council was saying the innovation certificate and why it was postponed?
Because they're having graduating commits, or asking for graduating commits, and graduate council has to approve all graduate student curriculum items. But because we literally had no information about it, so we didn't get the same access as ASCRC did, until today in the middle of the meeting. We asked for that discussion until we could review all the documents.
Got it, nice. I didn't see that graduating permits when I was presented at ASRC, so thanks for saying that. Senator Kluger.
Hi, so I asked Vice President Hanley if I could just about interviews, because by the time we meet next, hopefully we'll have some new senators. So I'm gonna run interview a little bit differently than it has been run kind of in the past. Interview has traditionally kind of asked the same questions that have been asked on the application. But I kind of found that to be a little counterproductive of our time because we already know those answers. So I'm trying to get more new questions around time commitment, leadership ability, likelihood to stay on the Senate because of our retention rate, and additional qualities that kind of signify a really good student leader. So if you guys have any really great questions, please email me. Don't tell me right now. Don't forget. Email me, send me a note. And I'm also implementing a period of time in the interview to kind of tell applicants what they're getting into. Because I've kind of found that's, some people don't necessarily know how big of a time commitment it is. I know when I joined Senate through interview, I did not realize how big of a time commitment it was. So just outright kind of like being transparent that meetings can be long. You have to have an office hour, you're going to be on committees, and your absences, like you can only have so many absences. So interview is going to meet before we start interviewing applicants on Friday at 9 a.m. in the ASUM conference room. Everyone's invited. If they have something they want to say, or you can send me an email. Also, if you could please share the post on Instagram or Facebook, that would be awesome. If you're doing class reps, that might be a really great time to say, hey, you can get me involved in Senate right now. You can start early. And maybe like encouraging those people who are planning on running for Senate to apply, because it's always good to kind of get that like ground information down first. So yeah, send me an email or a Facebook message.
Senator Torello.
Senator Luker, the last few times the interview convened, there was a lot of confusion and frustration about what was valid information to discuss when the committee was in private. So I'm wondering, will you be working closely with Vice President to figure out kind of what is eligible to be discussed in those meetings?
Well, I guess I wasn't on the committee when those things had happened, but I will be. When I ran the committee last time, I asked everyone to give me their questions that they were going to ask beforehand, so I could run it through myself. If I maybe had a concern, I would have ran it through Vice President Hanley, but I really kind of didn't have any concerns, but if the discussion was going towards maybe someone's like character or like how, I don't know, some sort of like opinion, I would like not allow that to happen. So.
Senator Reagan.
The Sustainable Campus Committee met on Monday. It was a fairly straightforward meeting. We continued talking about the combined heat and power project. They gave us we had their some engineers there from the history, and they gave us a pretty cool overview of like the actual physical steam plant building and like what the project would look like in practice. And then they also kind of, if anyone wants to look at this, it's kind of this like basically from step 1 to step 99 of like what and how the project will be implemented on like talking to Northwest Energy and getting it passed and getting the budget finalized, and like they're shooting to have the project done in the spring of 2022. Like they're like right up against the edge of when the money needs to be spent. So like most construction projects, can't really afford any setback or anything like that. If there are any questions, I specifically feel free to ask them, but it's just it's a cool project. I'm sure all of you learn more about it.
Senator Hahn.
That's the one that runs on natural gas. Is that the plan that you went over?
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
I feel very happy about it. I think natural gas is a good fuel that we're not at its position right now at the campus to like just jump to like fully renewable energy. And they have this chart of like where like right now like electrical costs from Northwest, from Colstrip basically are getting more and more expensive as natural gas is just getting very, very inexpensive. And the wider that gap gets, the more cost effective the CHP project is because people are just moving to natural gas. I feel strongly in support of it for the most part. It's not perfect, but it's a good step in that direction. If anything, Northwest is going to be the biggest barrier to the project because they can be friends or enemies fairly easily.
Thank you.
Yeah, to add additional context, because I'm also on that, yeah, doing this project would basically allow us to generate our own electricity and for the very large part be off of Northwestern's grid, possibly give energy back to them. So there's pros and cons for Northwestern to look at this.
Senator Flanagan.
Just to clarify, it's only in the planning phase right now, and not starting any sort of construction like that. No, not yet. I think like maybe like.
Point of information, Senator Corkish.
So this is not really very technical because but the things that do the thing are made specifically based on like the inches of our pipes and so they would have to be for this particular project and stuff.
Senator Reagan. Senator Reagan.
Yeah, so they need to get you flexibility like as soon as possible basically, and then maybe it's like a year and a half out. And then I think some other one was, I'm just trying to find it on the timeline, like the day they're thinking like August of 2021 would possibly be when this equipment would be delivered, and then that would probably be the day when we start like retrofitting the steam plant, get it ready to accept this like year.
Follow up, Senator Flanagan.
So I know you mentioned that they can't really afford any setbacks with like how close they're going to, and maybe this may be like a little alarming, so I just want to get the current like issue that we're dealing with the coronavirus that caused any sort of setbacks that could lead to bigger impacts on this project.
I don't think so. I think like is they're contracting with this home industry out of Seattle. But they're like a professional contract. Like we are hiring them to basically like
Senator Corkish.
Yes. ASUM was assisting, we didn't really talk about what was on the agenda, we kind of started getting on track with coronavirus. And was kind of discussing how universities can really teaching professors how to do online. As it currently stands, the trainings are pretty scarce and all held at the same exact time. So it's difficult for some professors to make those trainings, so like really supplement individual different times we can post week that would be like during the day. And then the remainder being standard ASUM.
Senator Nelson.
Jenna met today. We're finishing up our rolling review. We have 2 more courses that we need to either provisionally recognize or approve, fully approve, or reject with our American Studies 340 and X course and the Anthropology 122 and Y course. I'll be submitting my feedback for those 2 courses in the coming week. After we get those finalized on March 25th, the committee is hoping to have a report for faculty and Senate regarding how the rolling review went, what courses were approved, and then what changes are going to be made to the rolling review procedure after we send it from April in the record. And then the committee is again looking at how we can innovate for the future, the general education program at the University of Montana. It's in very early stages, but there's still some real lot of progress from last year, but
Senator Flanagan.
Move to officially recognize that slate student sensible drug policy and Okay,
there's been a motion to recognize, sorry, can you repeat those student groups again?
Yeah. Students for Sensible Drug Policy.
Students for Sensible Drug Policy and?
Elementary.
Okay, so there's been a motion by Senator Flanagan to recognize those 2 student groups. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Gregory. Senator Flanagan, you're off the ship. No,
Yeah, there's nothing on the documents for what they submitted to us as far as recognition for. So, you don't know what telemarketing is? It's a form of student. It's not telemarketing. It's not a student group made for solicitation.
Senator Nelson.
the students for sensible drug policy, can you briefly touch on what it is they do and if they campaign for against any specific policies?
Yeah, that was a question that I had as well, actually, from here recently, as well as I think I might have accidentally helped start this because there's a student that was curious about ASUM student groups. They are not necessarily, from what I understand, they're not necessarily campaigning for any drug policies, statewide or nationwide. They simply want education on the issue, and that's what they want. It's educational resources for the issue.
Senator Nelson, you want to follow up?
Yeah, please. Do you know, I guess my personal curiosity, are they pro like less restrictive drug policy, more liberal drug policy, or do they want like extreme restrictions, or are they just generally advocating for us to be educated about drug policy restrictions, or?
I believe it's the former rather than the latter, but I'm not sure it's the person.
They want sensible drug policy. You're welcome for that.
All right. Is there any more discussion about the recognition of these 2 student groups? Last call. Seeing none, all those in favor of recognizing students for sensible drug reform and Telemark Club, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? And abstentions. Seeing none, those 2 student groups have been recognized. My speakers list for committee reports is empty. Senator Fulton.
Yeah, I was just wondering why the music report isn't on there when I submitted it 11 on Tuesday.
Did you send it to the secretary as well?
Yeah, I sent it to both of you.
Okay. You can give her now if you would like.
Oh, yeah, and I special for the sheet.
Yes, you can use your phone. Okay. So in the future, please send your committee reports in the form of Word documents so that they can be copied on here. I think I made that announcement a couple times, but in order for a secretary to copy and paste it in a smooth manner, it's gotta be in a Word document, so.
Okay, so the music union had its budgeting session, and this is how it allocated all the money to all those groups. So ACDA received $525, ASUM received $565, Clarinet Choir received $250, Flute Choir received $600, Horn Club received $600, NAFME/C received $3,000, SNATS received $310, Saxophone Club received $1,200, Tuba Euphonium Club received $600, Choir Club received $3,650, Jazz received $3,500, Composers Club received $2,125, Keyboard Society received $1,650, Opera Theater received $1,790, Percussion Club received $2,125, Philharmonics received $3,350, Wood Music Association received $3,750, Zootown Cabaret received $450, and the Student Music Union set $460 aside for equipment for the whole evening.
Great. Any questions for Senator Fulton? Senator Nelson?
I guess since we're talking about the budget, can you explain how
Sure, I'll
decisions were made to allocate funds and why some groups got $300-ish and then got over $2,000?
Yeah, so first, we went through 4 rounds of budgeting. The first round went between a metric of the $25 that we did at Senate. And then we also went through each individual line item for what they were requesting. The reason why some groups received massive amounts and others was due to like they were requesting, some groups were requesting money for leave while others were like requesting money for like national news and stuff like that. And yeah, that's how we were able to do it. We went through each group, we went through a minimum of opening each group twice, and then we went to like a third round, we like, and then additionally, in the fourth round, we like changed the executive, the equipment budget out as well.
Jonelle?
Just to touch on that a little further too, this is a newer process for the music union. This was the first year that I was chaired, and then we went through the round and whatnot, and that's how it's always supposed to be done, but we were never told. So that's what we're doing it now, which is really exciting and cool. It took like 9 hours, so hopefully reducing that in the future. But yeah, another thing I wanted to touch on is since the groups have travel included. Some groups travel like biannually, some groups have vacations that they go to every year, and so their budget looks more consistent every year, but some groups have like just like new conferences that come up or things that they want to start. So it's so flexible. That's why we leave the metrics more flexible, but we did start with the $25 per person per member thing for the to start, because I mean that gave plenty of money to use discretionary and stuff, and we felt like that was there. But it is still a process that's to be refined and everything. If there's any suggestions, I encourage it towards the union president to be next year. Yeah, also, please refer to the minutes. The secretary is really good at the minutes. It should outline all of the motions made. And we also listed the justifications for any groups who are interested in senators that should stick to the consent.
Anderson?
Okay, so I have 2 quick announcements that I should have said the first time. One, childcare is hosting an event on April 10th. So we're gonna do a spring egg hunt for the daycare. Assuming we're not all.
Watch your knocking.
Assuming we're not all remote by that point. So Senator Ring and I will be looking for senators to help us set the eggs in the oval. So you heard that. And then childcare will not be meeting the rest of the semester unless something comes up that we have to. Would be such as that April 10th meeting. So I think set it to be aware and integrate something from childcare issues.
Any more committee reports? Senator Fulton?
Yeah, I forgot. So Cam, we just finished Zoom interviews, and this Friday we're going over all 9 applicants who did a Zoom interview to actually pick our top 3 to come to campus. So look out for that, everybody.
Any more committee reports? Last call for committee reports. Sweet, that moves us into unfinished business, and before we begin, I'm going to entertain a 5-minute recess. Entertain motions. So moved by Senator Anderson, Seconded by Senator Darnell.
Unanimous.
Unanimous consent has been called. Objection called by Senator Turallo. Any more discussion or objection? Seeing none, be back at 8:57 p.m.
Yeah, just give me some updates. I'd love to help with that. Okay.
I'm just making.
I don't think that's good.
I think it was like, no, I saw.
I mean,
That's all.
That'll be the smart
They're suspending from their team.
yeah.
That's never happened in my life.
Well, they're not suspending after Monday. Senior Angels, let's go, baby. Yeah. Zoe, I'm trying to close. Sorry. They are. Oh,
It was just you and I, friend.
Yeah.
short. Oh, like, actually, I don't it's like yellow.
Yeah.
So,
What's the reason? It's chill out right
How's it going?
Oh, yeah.
I got a mentor. And immediately after that, I have to write an English paper.
Lucky for me, I think I'm done. Okay, so I have a paper due, I have a case report due tonight that I haven't started yet.
Is it due at midnight?
So I'm really hoping this gets done before then.
I don't know, this
Because that is gonna take me at least 20 minutes to do. Because I already, so like case reports are like really easy when you're just. And it's a case report for one individual, like, do that in my sleep, but like.
Yeah.
It was really easy.
It just takes time.
So, I mean, I
Well,
like
if there's a token out here and like the
yeah, I think the case is so good at time, but like everyone else.
But we're already in unfinished business, so I'm thinking like,
yeah, well,
no later than 10?
yeah, I don't.
Not even.
Like,
9:30.
I
I feel like there's a lot of things crossed out on these executive drafts, so I'm assuming there's a huge revision coming somewhere. I don't know. Are we revising this resolution? Are we revising this resolution? Can you write it down?
I know.
Oh, so my revision is just
Oh, sweet. Ha! That's my favorite part. Deleting things is my favorite revision. Yay, but how's it going, Daniel? You got a sweet tooth today?
All right,
Just constantly eating. not get enough calories.
Straight up.
Really want to see a
So like, yeah, which is annoying. The Sixers were actually doing kind of decent.
I guess everyone's going to any basketball.
Yeah.
I cover my mouth. Thank you.
Swear to God, we just have to get.
I am a human with asthma. My lungs are going up on my body.
I think that's my little out for me and then before I was off.
Rudy Gobert calls it.
I'm going to San Antonio.
All right, please take your seats.
Lots of paper cases. Let's get it.
All right. I'll call this meeting back to order at 8:58. We'll now move into discussion on Senate Bill 61, resolution endorsing the ASUM sustainability fee adjustment. Senator Johnson, Senator Nelson, which would like the authorship first? By the way, if you just raise your placard again on the speakers list, keep it raised because I don't have it. Senator Johnson.
Yeah. So, I see that there's a lot to talk about, but it's free. We voted to put this on about earlier, this just allows ASUM to essentially lobby for it on behalf of ASUM, is able to formally lobby on behalf of the sustainability fee. I'm sure that there will be more alongside the other fees if you haven't seen more already, and so this is similar in mind. If you're against the fee, if you're against the increase in the fee, I don't really know what to tell you. You're kind of missed the boat, so to speak. This is really just ASUM supporting it. So if you're against this, ASUM supporting the fee, then I would vote no on this. I'd say vote yes and move this stuff along.
Senator Nelson, your authorship.
Yes, I concur with previous evidence. I wrote this resolution in conjunction with Senator Johnson because I wanted a formal mechanism by which ASUM could throw a little bit more weight behind this fee, which has clearly been noted to be of interest to students, but it has been shot down twice previously for different reasons. My hope was that by having ASUM support it, we would have really strong turnout and really strong numbers supporting this, so the DOR would have a much harder time justifying shutting it down. I also wanted to hold us accountable to our students as ASUM as a whole, including senators and executives, to be accountable to what students have indicated that they're interested in, both during, prior, and after the elections. I recognize that some people feel that some provisions within this might not be enforceable, and that might be the case, but also so I don't know, I would like to see ASUM as a unified body supporting this initiative going forward.
Senator Fulton.
Move to strike line 6.
Okay, there's been a motion to strike line 6 by Senator Fulton. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Kiefer. Unanimous consent has been called. Is there any discussion or objection? Discussion or objection, discussion or objection? Seeing none, line 6 has been struck. Senator Anderson.
Move to strike line 62 through 64.
Okay, so I think this is going to be a little bit different on the document, so give us just a minute. Okay? Yeah, there. Yeah, so I believe it's going to be line 61 through 63.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. All right. Can you turn on all change or all track changes? Sorry, I think I forgot to send the document over with that. Sorry, it's still in the document. It's just reflected in balloon or all marker. So go up. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Still struck. All right. There's been a motion by Senator Anderson to strike that therefore clause. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Flanagan. Discussion, Senator Anderson.
Yeah, so unfortunately, this Senate cannot charge any future ASUM executives with any action. They are not required or able to do that. That would be up to next year's Senate. So, if Dr. would pass that along to the new senators once they're elected, that is something that they can do, but we cannot charge them to do anything. So I don't feel like I love the intent and I love the idea, but it's not something that we can actually enforce. And so I think just striking that would be a better option than leaving it in there and leaving it as an unenforceable provision in the resolution.
Nelson.
Perhaps instead of striking this therefore clause, I would encourage the Senate to instead change charge to strongly encourage. To ensure that the sentiments held by this Senate and the passion that's held for the sustainability fee referendum is carried forward in the next year, and also to make sure that we're trying to respect the will of the students if this goes through and the students vote. This was our safeguard to ensure that the executives that are elected and during the same election cycle are held accountable to some extent. And this is being better for continuity's sake, but I do understand not being held to previous things.
Janelle.
I'm gonna encourage the Senate not to vote on this amendment, or sorry, vote on it, but vote now. I don't wanna see this language stricken, and I do agree that there's one single word that can be changed that would fit the sentiment addressed by the author of this amendment. And I don't really see it feasible of making an amendment to this amendment since this is regarding striking the language as a whole. Doesn't really seem within the intent, but I would encourage to vote no on this and then just to change the word. That's definitely doable. Yeah.
Flanagan.
Yeah, as a secondary, I'm more in favor of just changing the language to say strongly encouraged and I would adopt or
It has to be initiated by the motioner, so if we get to that one. Senator Terrell.
Yeah, I had similar concerns earlier. The left to therefore clauses seems kind of repetitive. First you say charge, then you say strongly encourage. I don't think there's a reason to change the wording to charge strongly encourage when there's already therefore clauses that state that. So unless I'm misunderstanding something, it would just make more sense to cut the therefore clauses that state charge in future ASUM Senate executives.
Anderson.
Yeah, so the reason I didn't change it is because I still don't think that we can strongly encourage the future AHM executives as this Senate body to do really anything. But if we are encouraging or strongly encouraging those future candidates to campaign on the issue, I think that they will automatically put themselves in a position where they would have to be held accountable by next year's Senate and the student body. Because if we're going to encourage them to lobby on that issue or like campaign on that issue, that's where I see that distinction. But I don't feel like this language is appropriate in a bill for this current Senate to force next year's executives even strongly encouraged to be doing anything. I feel like that has to come from next year's Senate. And so it's more appropriate to say strongly encourage next year's ASUM Senate to maybe do those things. But again, they're not beholden to anything that we do this year. And so I just think that sets a very dangerous precedent going down the road.
Brink.
I'm not in favor of striking the standard at all. I would be maybe in favor of future resolution changing the word charge. But I think that this specific therefore clause is talking about the May Board of Regents meeting, which with the Senate's not in session. I think like one of the main concerns about the May Board of Regents meeting is that it takes place after term ends, meaning that there would be a lack of student voices advocating for this fee in the first place. So I think it's important to consider that it would be beneficial to strongly encourage the ASUM executives future to push for this fee because there would be some student voices.
Point of information, Senator Anderson.
The first Senate meeting of next year's Senate is April 29th. So, and you can pass resolutions there. JBO was formed at last year's April meeting. So it is possible for them to do.
Senator Janelle.
I'd like to touch on a very recent sentiment and just clarify that the first Senate meeting held in the spring is largely made up of very inexperienced senators as far as determining resolutions, so I would not be in favor of that. Additionally, I guess in general, I am just in favor of charging future ASUM executives. And the reason being is because I don't find it any different than the Senate consistently writing resolutions that charge the administration and other aspects of the university to do certain things, and it basically is us representing the student interest. and our body pressuring them into doing something for the students, and that's exactly what I see this whole resolution doing. And that's why I see this as a really important therefore clause. I don't see that as competitive at all. I would be fine with leaving it where as it is, but if I have to compromise, it's changing one word, strongly suggest, then that's what I want to do, but I will not entertain removing this language, and that's why I'm encouraging that it stays.
I'm gonna, before I recognize Senator Flanagan, I'm gonna read my speakers list and cap it. I've got Johnson, Flanagan, Nelson, Jimmy, Terrell, Fulton. Would anyone like to get on my speakers list at this time for the amendment?
I do.
Okay, cool. Great, seeing none, it's capped. Senator Flanagan, your point of clarification.
Yeah, at the May Board of Regents meeting, it was one that's coming up, I guess, would that be current executives or future executives?
It's usually a combo of both. If you go back and watch the meetings, typically if you look at the last time the sustainability fee referendum was up, the outgoing ASUM president lobbied on it. If you look at the last time the ASUM fee increased, the outgoing and incoming officers lobbied on behalf of the fee adjustment. So it's like a really discretionary process. Typically it's both. So typically. Yeah. Johnston.
I highly encourage you to vote no on this amendment. I'd like to see, for the board, to my understanding, it was made pretty clear to me that the elections committee did not want candidates endorsing or trying to create a ticket with these fees, and it was made pretty clear to me that if a candidate did that, they potentially could be removed from the ballot, and so that's why I don't encourage anybody to make a motion like that. So I really highly encourage that this is voted no.
Senator Flanagan.
Previous question.
Okay, previous question has been called on the amendment. All those in favor of ending discussion on striking the second to last therefore clause, please signify by raising your placards. All those in favor of ending discussion on the striking the second to last therefore clause, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? Abstentions? All right, previous question fails 8 to 10 to 2. Back to my main speakers list. I got Senator Nelson.
Okay, I just wanted to quickly justify why we felt that it was appropriate to insert this in the first place. And in part, it was because we wanted as much support as we could get from this resolution at the May Board of Regents meeting. We recognize that if this goes through by a student vote, that the current executive will support it in some capacity and carry out their duties. But to my understanding, a lot of the effort is going to be going in from the current executive, it's going to be in the ASUM fees, which is totally valid and reasonable. The reason that I included future executives was in part to carry out, what they're also being elected for. Like these elections are going on at the same time. It was just carrying out the will of the students. And I realized that charging might not be feasible to carry out from one Senate to the next, but striking this language in its entirety would weaken kind of what I was trying to do with this resolution, and I would be highly discouraged if that was.
Senator Jimmy.
I find redundancy within these three particular line items, not line item lines, in similarity with lines 56 and 57. They're basically similar in the fact that there's a difference in the word future. So I'd be open to seeing why that is, and sometimes consolidate those two lines to say current and future.
Senator Fulton.
To bounce off of that, I believe the reason why those two therefore clauses are in there are to represent now executives and future executives. I'm sorry. I understand the concern, but I honestly, we should vote this down this time. But yeah, that's probably why, because it's referencing both these executives and future executives as well.
All right, that's the last speaker on my speakers list. So we'll now go into a placard vote on whether to strike the second to last therefore clause. All those in favor of striking the second to last therefore clause, please signify by raising your placard. All those opposed? Abstentions? Amendment fails 5 to 11 to 4. Back to my main speakers list. I got Senator Flanagan.
Yeah, I'm strongly in favor of this resolution. I think the word clause that's on, but it's line 37 for us alone is, at least for me, it was reason enough to support this resolution. The only concerns that I have with it were charging the centers, just because the issue of us not being beholden to past Senate precedent, and also the precedent that was set. May I follow up?
Yeah.
Move to amend, what's it? Yeah.
Okay, so just for your information, everything moved up a line. So think about that when you're making amendments.
Thank you. Move to amend line 61, strike charge and replace it with strong encourage.
Okay, there's been a motion made by Senator Flanagan to strike the word charge on line 61 and replace it with strongly encourage. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Hahn. Senator Flanagan, I'm going to give you your authorship after the point of information from Senator Turnell.
I believe Senator Flanagan said encourages or else. I can't see, but.
Okay, we'll get the amendment on the screen before discussion starts. Strongly encourages, is that how you would like your amendment to read?
Yes.
Okay, great. Senator Flanagan, your authorship.
Yeah, I think this is a good compromise. I don't see an issue with us strongly encouraging the future Senate. I don't think it's necessarily as finding as charging anything. I think that we can strongly encourage it to do anything, and whether they should act on it or not is their decision. Yeah.
Anybody else for discussion on this amendment? Last call. Seeing none, we'll now proceed to a vote on striking charge to replace with strongly encourages in line 61 of the resolution. All those in favor of this amendment, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? Abstentions? Okay, the amendment passes 12 to 3 to 5. Back to my main speakers list, Senator Hahn.
I'm very much in favor of this resolution, and I'd encourage senators to vote for it. However, I believe their lines now 27, 28, and 29. I would argue that expressing concerns is the job of ASUM executives, and at Board of Regents, I heard executives on multiple occasions speak with Board of Regents members and tell them that this was coming up. So calling them out, particularly when I think this undermines the sentiment of the resolution. And can I have a follow-up?
Yeah.
Motion to strike lines 27, 28, and 29?
I believe that's correct. Yeah, that is how it reads on the resolution. All right, there's been a motion by Senator Hahn to strike lines 27 through 29. We'll wait for the secretary to get it on the screen before I take a second, but I got you back. All right, it's been moved by Senator Hahn, and I will take a second from Senator Torello now. And great, Senator Hahn, your authorship.
Yeah, just reemphasizing what I said again, I don't feel comfortable with calling out the current executives in this manner. I'm very much in favor of this resolution and look forward to voting for it, but I would feel much more comfortable without that language included.
Okay, I'm reading my speakers list just to make sure I got it. Flanagan, Nelson, Johnston, Torello, Durnell, Medina. Great, Flanagan.
Yeah, so I'm not in favor of this specific whereas clause, as well as I believe there's 2 other whereas clauses in this section, went through extensive revision in RNA. But that particular whereas clause, I don't necessarily believe that it's calling out any of the ASUM executives, so I understand that concern, and I think that concern has merit. However, I don't think that merit justifies striking this whereas clause. I think by saying that the ASUM executive expressing concerns disregards the will and voice of the University of Montana students of the ASUM serves doesn't necessarily call out the executives, but rather just points to our service and what we're supposed to do as ASUM as the student body. Moreover, I had the same concern about how a whereas clause like this could hurt the intention of the resolution. However, I think that this whereas clause and how fine-tuned it is from what RNA did to amend it makes for good justification for a resolution and bolsters the resolution itself.
Nelson.
Just to go off that, I definitely respect the author of this amendment and where they're coming from, and I think that was something that we heard a number of times in RNA, but after extensive revision, I think it's fine the way it is. I also think it's incredibly important. This whereas clause was absolutely necessary to justify 4 of the whereas clauses, or 4 of the therefore clauses that come later in the resolution. I also think it's important to note that while we're trying to be a unified body on this fee, there is a difference in the time and value that is going to be allotted to this fee referendum and this fee initiative. I'm fully understanding of the fact that the executives are going to place their heart and effort into the ASUM fee initiatives. I understand that and I respect that. And I understand their concerns about it, but I do think that speaking to those concerns and some of the ways in which the words as our concerns were worded are disingenuous to the vote that students are supposed to have and what we're trying to do on ASUM. To support the sustainability initiative at large. And so that's why I felt justified including this argument within the resolution, though it's really simple.
Senator Johnson.
Yield.
Senator Torello.
Yeah, I think I was there for the revisions of this particular whereas clause run through. I was against the whereas clause as a whole regardless of the revisions. I don't think it's fair to call out the executives and claim that they disregard the students when they were elected by the students. I also don't, this has been a general point that this sustainability fee endorsement is supporting the will and voice of the students. I don't know how you can make that claim in the first place when the referendum hasn't been voted on yet. But that's politics, you can do whatever you want. I'm definitely in favor of striking this whereas clause. It's just simply an unfair characterization of the executive statements.
Jamel.
In regards to student support for this fee initiative, historically, I mean, this same referendum has been proposed multiple times with a huge majority from the student body. About low is now student support, and then the Senate majority also voted this referendum in, so that's just one other thing we can tack on to that. In general, I'm just going to concur with previous sentiments in support of not removing this because I do feel like it's necessary for this resolution. I'd also like to touch on the fact that RNA's discussion was some of the most thorough I've ever seen regarding any one part of language. It was about an hour and a half's worth of discussion. We used the full time of RNA. And throughout that discussion, we also addressed certain charges of RNA to make sure that no senators were being contradictory to the charge of committee. No one was acting on personal biases, and a member of the NATO execs was there collaborating with that discussion as well. I see this as a really fair whereas clause and necessary whereas clause in this resolution, and I do not want to disregard the ethics clause by just striking it with limited conversation. So I also support any further conversation that will contradict me.
Senator Medina.
Yeah, I'll be voting this down. I think all the sentiments in this resolution, and especially in 27 through 29, is very necessary with a lot of the sentiments said. So I just encourage everybody to vote it down as well.
President Belcher.
Yeah, I just have a couple comments on this. I would just like to say that jumping from expressing concerns to disregarding the will and voice of students is quite the leap. I would say it's my job to express concerns, and we were all elected to use our institutional knowledge to guide our decision making about processes and ways in which the ASUM will raise money. I also think that this whereas clause is a little disingenuous in the fact that it doesn't really acknowledge the content of the executive team's concerns, which were largely centered around timing and not the subject matter of the referenda. And I don't appreciate that this clause makes it sound like we were disregarding the will and voice of the University of Montana concerning sustainability, but rather whether or not we should be using our privilege to put extra fees in front of regents during a non-biennium year. I think those are two very different things, and this whereas clause does not make that distinction. However, that being said, I think the effects of this whereas clause are not going to be what the Senate thinks they are, because when this resolution gets sent to Tyler Trevor at OG is going to email me and he's going to ask what were the concerns of the executive team. I'm either going to have to tell him what the concerns were and maybe put concerns on their radar that they didn't already have by telling them, or lie to a state official and say that we don't have concerns. And those are both things that I don't want to do. So we should really just remove this whereas clause.
Senator Hahn.
Yield.
Oh. Okay, Senator Flanagan.
Yeah, first and foremost, for those that aren't aware, whereas clause is supposed to justify it, therefore clause is doing that. If you strike this, there's going to be a lot of unjustified therefore clauses, which is an issue in itself. I think we just had a very similar discussion on striking the clause, where we came to a good compromise on, rather than striking a whole clause, amending that clause to sort of meet the desires of both parties. I think a much better action for the Senate to take is, rather than strike this clause, we should move to amend the word disregards in some way, because I do see how that can be a bit of a jump. I think that was a very good point to make. So I think by amending the whereas clause, we can sort of satisfy the concerns on either side of this issue. I'm not sure what that looks like yet, but I imagine it's just amending the word disregards to be something not as harmful. Yeah.
Senator Johnson.
So it is completely my ability to express concern about the ASUM executives, good, bad, or different. Furthermore, the current executives have expressed concerns about this fee, and I don't think that is wrong. I don't think that's misconstrued. I think that they themselves have expressed concerns about it, whether that is good, bad, or indifferent. They have expressed concern. I agree that maybe this is 2 points, and I would be open to that. However, I am not in support of this amendment, and I highly encourage everybody to vote no on this, so that we can get back to the real discussion about the word disregard, or a real discussion about the resolution, because right now we're having a discussion about what we're saying about the executives and not
Before we continue on with this discussion, if this amendment does fail and you wish to amend the wording of this whereas clause, please think it over and rewrite it before you propose it. Send your amendment to the secretary and then propose it so that we're not wasting time during the Senate. I'm going to read my speakers list and cap it. Terrell, Medina, Nelson, Durnell, Belcher. Would anyone like to get on? I got Johnson. I got Han. I got Flanagan. Great. Speakers list is capped. Senator Terrell.
Yeah, just to respond to previous sentiments, no offense, but I'm not really interested in past sustainability fees and how past student bodies vote. I'm more interested in the present. Last if you want, but that's whatever. Also, I would argue that we are having a conversation on the word disregard. Maybe not just one word, but the whereas clause as a whole.
Senator Medina.
Okay, so one of the university's core values is sustainability. So I think that okay.
Can you
I think
please keep your discussion relevant to the whereas clause?
Yep. Okay. So since this is the third time that this discussion or this fee has come up, I think it's very necessary to take more action and more push on ASUM executives, no matter what, because student support is being shown for this. And yeah.
Senator Nelson.
I feel like this whereas clause is being misconstrued by the fact that we're only looking at like the word of the entire whereas clause, those being expressing concerns and disregard. But if you look at everything in between, I'm not trying to say that the ASUM executives don't listen to students or don't care about what students think. What I'm trying to say is that the comments made by the executives shutting down this resolution before students ever get the chance to vote on it, prior to ever seeing the word grievance, counteracts what we're trying to do and counteracts like any input that students might have. I am not trying to vilify the executives or say anything improper about them. I am just saying that some of the comments that they've made in the past are a little bit concerning to me when students haven't even had the opportunity to discuss this, through a vote. And that's my issue, at least if we're gonna send it to board of regents, and that's why I included it, which justifies the later therefore clauses. I really would ask you to look at this whereas clause in a little bit more of a holistic sense versus only looking at it like 1 to 3 words that you think might be vilifying. At a later point, if you want to amend them to be quote unquote less pointed, by all means, but striking the entire whereas clause would be a misservice.
Durnell.
Yield.
President Belcher.
Yeah, so I just like to point out that even though I did express concerns about proposing the fee at this time, when I'm supporting it in front of the regents and when I go to OCHI to talk about this resolution, I don't need them to know via resolution that there was any sort of disagreement between senators and executives about this. If we want to present a unified front among students about this topic, you certainly shouldn't tell them that your student leadership opposed it at some point, because then they're going to want to ask us why, and they're going to want to play devil's advocate and hear those justifications, when if this is something that ASUM has supported in students past, I'm not really interested in discussing with them at all. And I don't think that's an appropriate topic of conversation for me to have to talk to them about. And I really would not like to send them a document that gives them that opportunity. I don't think that's very strategic, and I don't think it's going to lead to this resolution having the impact that you think it will. Additionally, if this whereas clause is being misconstrued by this many people in this room, I think there are going to be folks at OG that will also misconstrue the whereas clause, and maybe it's just not clear. All of you are free to disagree with anything we say at any time, but there are better ways to express that than by telling Tyler Trevor at OG, I have office hours that no one ever comes to, and I have an inbox that is often left empty by senators.
Senator Johnston.
I guess to kind of respond to that is, I think it's fair for the executives to voice their personal concerns if they have personal concerns. However, if the students vote to pass it in pretty overwhelming numbers, I believe it is in the executives' current, former, future to serve the will of the students. And so if the will of the students are representing support this, I would vote that the president support this. And just says that she had previous concerns with the issue and maybe the issues that were being seen on talk here and requesting for more. However, if it passes and it's passed pretty overwhelmingly, I hope it does. I would hope that future and current executives would speak only positive about it and keep it pushing it and going.
Senator Hahn.
I want to clarify that I don't think it's the intent of the authors at all to vilify the executives. I think that they're acting in good faith to advocate for a core value. But again, I'm afraid that's how it will be interpreted. And I'm afraid that's how it will be interpreted by OG. And that is why I proposed the motion in the first place. Thanks.
Senator Flanagan.
So I think this discussion got really out ahead of us about, with understanding, so this is something that already spoke for about an hour and a half on. But I think if we just take a step back and we look at the issue, we can see that there's the need to completely strike this is not present when the issue can be fixed just as well by amending the resolution. And that's something that I haven't heard any sort of response to in this discussion. At least not one that's been able to explain the influence. Like, moreover, I haven't heard any sort of response to how this is going to affect the therefore clauses below this whereas clause, and I think that's also a concern in itself. I think that all of these are reasons. I think that these reasons that I bring up are a reason not to vote no on striking this and just come back to it and amend it to a way that the entire Senate is happy with. That just makes more sense.
All right, seeing that's the end of my speakers list, we'll now take a placard vote on whether to strike lines 27 through 29 of this resolution. All those in favor of striking those lines, please signify by raising your placard.
Wait, what is it?
Striking the lines, if you're in favor of striking the lines.
Sorry.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Okay. 8 to 4.
Division.
Thank you.
Senator Kiefer?
Okay,
Yes.
one second. Point of parliamentary inquiry, Senator Terrell.
So there was some confusion. Can you clarify what a yes, no vote is?
So a yes vote is striking lines 27 through 29 of the resolution. A no vote is keeping that whereas clause in the resolution. So you voted yes? Okay, great.
Senator Kiefer? Senator Nelson?
No.
Senator Medina?
Nope.
Senator Ream? Senator Rank?
No.
Senator Terrell?
Yes.
Senator Anderson,
Abstain.
Senator Borgasani, Senator Corkish,
Abstain.
Senator Durnell,
No.
Senator Flanagan,
No.
Senator Fulton,
No.
Senator Gluckert,
Abstain.
Senator Gregory,
Yes.
Senator Hahn,
Yes.
Senator Hurley,
No.
Senator Jimmy,
Yes.
Senator Johnston,
No.
Business Manager Parsons.
Yep.
President Belcher.
Yes.
7 to 8 to 5.
All right, the amendment fails 7 to 8 to 5. We go back in my main speakers list, Senator Trello.
Move to strike, line 31, from the resolution.
All right, there's, hold on one second. There's been a motion to strike line 31 of the resolution made by Senator Trello. Is there a second? Is there a second? Seeing none, that fails. Back to my main speakers list, I got President Belcher.
Can you please scroll?
Hold on one second. I'll push back on.
Scroll up or down?
I move to strike lines 54 and 55.
Okay, there's been a motion to strike lines 54 through 55 by President Belcher. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Business Manager Parsons. President Belcher, your office.
Yeah, so I made a motion to strike this line for a couple of reasons. The first is that it contained the word charge, and unfortunately, as awesome as we all are, we will not be executives during the May Board of Regents meeting and can't be charged with anything. And second of all, by the time it is the May Board of Regents, the ASUM executives will be the new executives. So for this line, or this therefore clause to have the intent that it is meant to have, it should say Abigail Belcher, Ethan Hanley, and Daniel Parsons, but the way it stands right now is not accurate and not enforceable.
Senator Durnell.
Yo.
Flanagan.
Yo.
My Business Manager Parsons. My speakers list is empty. Would anyone like to get on it at this time? Senator Johnston.
So,
No.
I guess this is the question to the executives, or I guess maybe answer.
Sorry.
What you're saying is that this body can't charge any executive team with anything at May, in the May board meetings. Is that, yes?
Yeah, we won't be executives. We will be happy to volunteer and lobby on behalf of anything that the student body passes and advocate for student issues because it's the right thing to do, but the word charge is not enforceable. And ASUM executives in the context of the May Board of Regents meeting does not mean the three of us. It means whoever's elected. So if this therefore clause were to have the intent that it should have, it should say strongly encourages Abigail Belcher, Ethan Hanley, and Daniel Parsons.
Senator Durnell.
I'd be more interested in seeing the striking the Board of Regents aspect of this, because I still, I still think it's well within the intent of this resolution that the current executives are lobbying on behalf of this, at least leading up to that point. It's still within their purview, sorry, going furthermore, actually, I know what I'm saying.
Senator Flanagan.
Yeah, I feel like we've had this discussion a third time now. I still like the idea of this moving to strike clause outright. I think it makes more sense to compromise and try to make the clause workable through changing wording. It just makes more sense to be more in favor of that.
So like I said, if you make a suggestion to change wording, write it out, think about it, send it to the secretary, and then propose it, so we're not going around in circles. We've already had this discussion for upwards of an hour, and I could see this going for 2 more. So let's, write it up and be efficient. Senator Ring.
Yes, along those same lines, this is the third one that is very unspecific. Because we're just trying to get rid of the whole therefore clause. I'd much rather see something along the lines of current ASUM executives be strongly encouraged, something like that. It makes more sense than just to get rid of the whole clause.
Senator Anderson.
Yeah, I wouldn't, if you're gonna keep or advocate for keeping the clause, I wouldn't strike at the May Board of Regents meeting, considering the May Board of Regents meeting is where the fees are determined. So that kind of takes away a bite from the resolution, and if we're not willing to strike some of the other clauses that are similar to this, I wouldn't suggest striking this for consistency.
Senator Fulton.
Oh. Yes.
All right, that is the end of my speakers list. Would anyone like to get on it at this time? Last call. Seeing none, we'll now take a placard vote on whether to strike this therefore clause. All those in favor of striking this therefore clause, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? Abstentions? Amendment fails 6 to 9 to 5. Back to my main speakers list, I have Business Manager Parsons.
All right, so I'm gonna be making a motion to strike ASUM from lines 2 and 15 in front of sustainability.
There's been a motion by Business Manager Parsons to strike the word ASUM in lines 14 and 2.
Yep, 14 and 2.
So it'll be in the title. Great. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Anderson. Business Manager Parsons, your authorship.
Yeah, this is not called the ASUM sustainability fee. On the fee schedule, it's just sustainability fee.
Any more discussion on this amendment? Last call. Seeing none, we'll now take a placard vote on whether to strike ASUM from lines 2 and 14. All those in favor, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? Abstentions? Amendment passes. And then can you delete the, there you go. And then the one in line 14 is here. All right, okay. Next on my speakers list, I've got Senator Rink. Rink?
Yeah. I think generally, again, very much in support of this resolution. I started public comment at the BOR meeting, and I used many of the whereas and therefore clauses to guide many of the points I made to the board. I strongly encourage you all to vote against.
Senator Fulton.
Move to amend line 80 to put a comma after Kiefer.
There's been a motion to put a comma after line, or after Emma Kiefer on line 81. What? Sorry. All right, it's been moved by Fulton, seconded by Kiefer. Unanimous consent has been called. Is there any discussion or objection? Discussion or objection, discussion or objection? Seeing none, that amendment is adopted. Back to my main speakers. Yeah.
All right, move to amend line 57 to replace the ASUM Senate, wait.
So this is, yeah.
Oh, I meant 54 and 55 to replace the ASUM Senate charges the ASUM executives to now state that the ASUM Senate strongly encourages Abigail Belcher, Ethan Hanley, and Daniel Parsons to lobby on behalf. And yeah, that's all.
Okay, so we're gonna go through this slowly, okay?
Okay.
Strongly encourages Abigail Belcher.
It'd be helpful if I knew how to spell it.
Hey, 2 B's.
I knew I had 2 B's.
I think the computer is like 50 years old, so.
Give me a break, guys. This computer
so
hates
close.
me.
There you go. Would you like an and after Ethan Hanley?
Yes.
Okay, is that how you would like your amendment to read?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded
by President Belcher. Senator Fulton, your authorship.
We've already had this discussion for a fourth time, and because our executive team right now, even though they'll be there, they will not be executives.
Johnston. Okay.
What's the name?
No, this is for the amendment. I'll put you on the main though. Senator Rink.
No, if I'm going to be voting in support of this, I think I'd rather see something along the lines of the 2019, 2020 executives or the returning executives, but something about those last names, just that tracks from this resolution. To me.
if you would like to amend the amendment to include that, I will allow that to be in line with the purpose of this amendment. Yes, you can have a follow-up.
Amend the amendment
So-
to read that the ASUM Senate strongly encourages the current ASUM executives.
Would you like to say the 2019-2020 ASUM executives?
Yes.
So we'll wait for it to get up on the screen before I take a second. This is a rather drawn out process.
I'm sorry, hold on.
No, you're good. Don't worry. You're good at breaking this. So the 2019-2020 ASUM executives. And then put the word before 2019. Is that how you would like it to read, Senator? Yes. All right, I will take a second. Seconded by Senator Flanagan.
Unanimous.
Unanimous consent has been called. Is there any discussion or objection? Discussion or objection? Discussion. Okay, just a reminder, this is the amendment to the amendment. So we still have like 2 votes to take. Senator Rank, your authorship.
I just stated why I think this amendment should pass, so I yield the rest of my time.
Senator Fulton.
I don't like it. I feel like I'm just gonna be blunt and honest. I don't like putting that.
Okay, Senator Johnson.
I really hope that we just pass this and move on and give the rest of the time back to the chair.
Senator Terrell.
Previous question.
All right, you're at the end of my speakers list, but we'll go ahead and go to the vote on, you still call it, so we'll go into the vote. All those in favor, sorry, I'm checking to make sure we have quorum right now. Okay. All those in favor of any discussion on the amendment to the amendment, please signify by raising your placards. It requires a 2/3 vote to pass. All those opposed? Abstentions. Passes 10 to 5 to 2. With that being said, we'll now vote on adopting the amendment to the amendment, which reads, strongly encourages the 2019-2020 ASUM executives, instead of reading strongly encourages Abigail Belcher, Ethan Hanley, and Daniel Parsons. All those in favor of adopting this amendment to the amendment, please signify by raising your placards. Okay. All those opposed? And abstentions? Great. Amendment is adopted, or the amendment to the amendment is adopted. Back to the speakers list on the amendment is empty. Would anyone like to speak on the amendment at this time? Senator Durnell.
Yeah, I guess overall, I feel like all of the contentious issues have been well addressed, and now the stands a really well supported resolution still, as I've read before. So I guess now I'm just encouraging that this is voting on title and let's see this thing go under 2 hour.
Great. Any more discussion on the amendment? Last call. Seeing none, we'll now proceed to a placard vote on whether to adopt what's in red in the resolution in line 64 through 65. All those in favor, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? Abstentions? Great. Amendment is adopted. Give the secretary. Good to go?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Back to my main speakers list, I've got Business Manager Parsons.
All right, move to amend line 14 to read, whereas the sustainability fee is one of only 2 student-driven fees at the University of Montana with an opt-out option.
Okay, so we're going to give the secretary a moment to put that on the screen. Can you hold on for 1 minute? We'll get the amendment up on the screen. I'm going to wait to take a second until the amendment's up on the screen too.
Sorry, your handwriting sucks.
Point of clarification.
What is the other reason?
Montberg.
Yeah.
Okay, is that how you'd like your amendment to read, Mrs. Manager Parsons?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second? Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Anderson. Business Manager Parsons, your authorship.
Yeah, so sustainability fee is not an ASUM fee. That is not our funds. We do not control those funds. It goes into CREL, from which we pay the ASUM Sustainability Coordinator position. We have the ASUM Sustainability Center, but this is not actually our fee, and we do not control those funds. It is only the leadership of CREL that decides where those funds go. However, sustainability fee is one of 2 student-driven fees. That's what this is. That's what we'd be endorsing. Only 2 optional fees that are left outside of our part-time student fee are the student-driven fees, which are sustainability and Mockford.
Darnell.
I guess just comparatively, this is one of the fees that is outside of the collective ASUM fee. Transportation also is one of those. Does it fall in like the same category, or is it still considered an ASUM fee since it's mainly operates in?
Business Manager Parsons.
It's not our fee. It's the ASUM Transportation Office receives it, but it's not an ASUM fee. Because we as a Senate body, outside the Transportation Board, do not have oversight over those funds.
Okay. Senator Nelson.
I respect the intention of this amendment, but I don't like grouping the sustainability fee with the Mockford fee because they're new on a two-year basis. I just think I don't know, I think it undercuts what we're trying to do here, but I respect where the opportunity is.
Darnell.
Yeah.
Parsons.
Nelson, would you yield to a question?
Sure.
Would you categorize this as a student-driven fee, though?
That's not, I don't think that was what I was trying to do. I understand that it's also a student-driven fee. I don't know that it's being like with Mockford, which is subject to the new law.
Is there any more discussion on the amendment? Any more discussion? Last call. Seeing none, we'll now take a vote on this amendment. All those in favor of adopting this language into the resolution, please signify by raising your placards. Please raise them high. All those opposed? Abstentions. Okay, the amendment passes 10-3-7.
Division of the Assembly.
All right, division's been called. We'll now proceed to a roll call vote on whether to adopt that language into the resolution. Secretary David, will you please take the roll call vote?
Senator Fulton,
Yes.
Senator Gluckert,
Abstain.
Senator Gregory,
No.
Senator Hahn.
Yep.
Senator Hurley,
Yes.
Senator Jimmy,
Yes.
Senator Johnston,
Abstain.
Senator Kiefer,
Abstain.
Senator Nelson.
No.
Senator Medina,
No.
Senator Ream, Senator Rink, Senator Rallo,
Yes.
Senator Anderson,
Yes.
Senator Borgasani,
Abstain.
Senator Corkish, Senator Jornell,
No.
Senator Flanagan,
Yes.
Senator Rink,
Yes.
Business Manager Parsons.
Yeah.
President Belcher.
Yes.
10-4-6.
All right, amendment is adopted on a 10-4-6 vote. Back to my main speakers list. I've got Senator Johnston.
Okay. Move to amend line 30 to strike disregards and replace it with potentially hinders.
1 second. Okay, continue.
Yeah.
That's it?
Potentially hinders, yeah.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Medina. And Senator Johnston, your authorship.
Yeah, so we kind of talked about replacing this word. I didn't know if anybody had anything in mind, so this is what I came up with. If anybody doesn't like it or has something else, I'm happy to withdraw and move on, but this is my solution and I'm open to anything.
Flanagan.
Awesome compliments, that's passive.
Any more discussion on the amendment? Last call. Seeing none, we'll now take a vote on whether to adopt this language into the resolution. All those in favor, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? Yeah, please raise them high so I can count your votes. That's abstentions. Okay, amendment passes 10-4-5. Back to my main speakers list, I have Senator Flanagan.
Yep.
Senator Durnell. Senator Tarallo.
So I guess I have a question for the authors. I don't know if you can answer it. If you are looking for a unified terms on this, why would you express that, or why would you show that the concerns from the portion of the body?
Senator Johnson.
Yeah, as much as I loved it to be a unified fund, it wasn't a unified fund, there were concerns for us, and so I don't think trying to like put makeup over the problem is the way to do it. I think the problem is address it head on and say that, yeah, no, this potentially could hinder the will of those systems, not saying it does or doesn't, but it potentially could, especially with some of the concerns that were expressed on record by some of the executives, and so that's why I think it's
Senator Nelson.
I would like to see a unified fund, not necessarily in the resolution, but moving forward. This is an opportunity for these executives, not necessarily to repeat their sentiments, but instead after May Board of Regents and during elections to say, while we have concerns, we're opting to support the voice of what the students have voted for. We're opting to support what our Senate has voted for. We're opting to move forward on sustainability issues as a campus. That's more what I need.
Nelson.
I need to send this resolution back to committee.
All right, there's been a motion to send this back to, can I just send it back to Relations and Affairs instead of Sustainability?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, all right. So there's been a motion to send Senate Bill 61 back to Relations and Affairs. Been moved by Nelson, seconded by Kiefer. Senator Nelson, your authorship. Okay, unanimous consent has been called. Is there any discussion? Discussion has been called by Senator Flanagan. Nelson, your authorship.
Sure, I would like to send this back to committee. There's been substantial amendments made that personally makes me uncomfortable as an author of this resolution. And I would like to also take into consideration some of the concerns that I feel have not been addressed in amendments and put these things into my own voice versus allowing the Senate to completely run over the work that I've done.
Flanagan.
I think that I understand those concerns. I understand the concerns that were brought up. I think that Dave made a very good argument. However, I think the Senate's been working very cohesively as a unit to try to come together and agree on this resolution. I think that the amendments that we're seeing is doing that. I think that there's some disagreement, however, I think that we're starting to compromise, and as such, I'd like to reach that compromise tonight rather than wait to do so.
Tarallo.
Yeah, there's no reason to send this back to RNA. The senators have made clear how they feel about each individual's clause in the resolution as a whole. Let's just vote on this for
Parsons.
Yeah, resolutions follow a process that come to the Senate. The Senate has made its statements on. I don't think a good justification would be to send it back just because they don't like what the Senate has done voting here tonight.
President Belcher.
I actually think sending it back would be a great idea. In this resolution's current form, I don't think I would vote for it, and I don't see in the discussion that we're having tonight it reaching a form. However, there are some other parts of this resolution that haven't even been discussed yet that I have concerns with, and I think Relations and Affairs would be an awesome time for us to come to a compromise on that and then present a finished product to Senate next time.
Nelson.
Yeah, I would like to send this resolution back to committee because I would like to personally, as the author of this resolution, go back and rewrite some of the more contentious clauses and again, try to take into consideration the concerns that I've heard from various clauses that were not addressed by simply striking amendments. And I would like to amend some of the whereas clauses that were amended to be in the voices more suitable to the intent of this resolution. I don't think that the Senate has properly carried out what my intention was, and particularly what Senator Johnson was, and they completely disregard that because it's a little bit disingenuous. I would like to see this pass forward so that we can achieve everything that the arguments in the whereas clauses lay out. And as it is right now, I don't really see the compromise that the Senate's coming to, and I don't see us acting as a unified body. So I would like to send it back, work on it, and provide a better resolution.
Senator Anderson.
Yeah, I don't think that we're coming to a compromise. I don't think that anything's being addressed by slightly changing words, and I think that it is more appropriate to send this back to committee where it can undergo revisions again. I understand the sentiment of it's already here and just because the Senate changes, but if it's completely gutting and changing the intent the authors had, that to me is unacceptable, and I would much rather see that discussion happen in RNA and see the committee forward that on with the authors to be able to express their stuff. So I am all for sending this back to the committee so the authors can have that chance.
Johnson.
Yeah, I think it was made abundantly clear when the co-author that I don't either of us necessarily love what we've seen, and I would hope that there's some respect for as the co-author, myself just piggybacking on Zoe or Senator Nelson, that they would respect the author's wishes. I think there is a lot that probably needs to be touched on a little bit more, and I think that if we had to go through thing, I wouldn't be surprised if we were here till 11:30, and so I think that this would be, I think that we could see a significantly stronger resolution if it was sent back to RNA, and I think that it would greatly increase the ability it passing at POR if that is a concern with people, and it would potentially increase the chance that it's passed by the students who choose to serve. And so I would highly, highly encourage this gets sent back to RNA and we can just move on.
Janelle.
Yeah, I also see that this is justified going back to RNA, because I think some of the amendments made tonight has made some large discrepancies and inconsistencies within the language between the whereas clauses and therefore clauses. And I know that the intent was to address some of the sentiments that some of us agreed or disagreed on, but now that we've done a large portion of that, I don't think that this resolution stands as strongly as it did when it came out of RNA's first time through. RNA can spend just as much time on it, but I would encourage that this goes back to RNA, and I would also encourage that senators show up to the room. The senators involved in RNA are really good at what they're doing, and they proposed a really strong resolution coming out. I just think we changed it to a point where it needs to go back and be further revised, because that's what we're trying to operate on now. But I'm not sure if it's productive with nearly 20 members, not nearly as productive as it could be with.
Bolton.
Yeah, so rereading what is on the screen right now, I am picturing this as 2 to 3 different voices speaking throughout this resolution. I don't feel as if this is actually one body. I feel like it's different sections of the body trying to chime in here and there. And if we want this to pass, and if we want this to actually be supported, and if we want BOR to actually take this seriously, we need to make this sound as if it's one body and not 3 separate people from the body. And it needs to go back to RNA, and I will be there Sunday at 3.
I'm gonna read my speakers list in Cafe. I got Flanagan, Terrell, and Nelson. Anyone like to get on at this time? All right, speakers list is capped. And if you want to overturn my decision, it's interruptible. Flanagan.
I think this motion is really noble intentions. I have nothing but respect for wanting to produce a resolution that all of the Senate can agree on and one is going to make strides that Puerto Ricans. I think that's great, and it's something, it sets a really good standard. But that being said, I guess I just have trouble trying to figure out what we're going to do in our amendments that we can't do here on the Senate floor. And that may just be my closed-minded perspective on this. I'll be voting no on this motion, but I understand why people are in support of it. And all I can say is that if this motion does pass, I expect everybody that was concerned to be at the RNA meeting, giving their piece or contacting the authors so that they can give their piece to the authors and have their will be spoken through that so that the authors can put that into the resolution and they attempt to, I guess, for lack of better terms, rewrite it. Thank you.
Terrell.
Yeah, so the authors gave the resolution to the committees. The committees then gave the resolution to the Senate. I understand you may not always like what happens subsequent to that. You may be displeased how your resolution was created, but that is how things go. There's no reason to send this back to RNA. we're either gonna get changed now, or I don't see what some change would have later down the line. Let's just get this done tonight, I don't wanna see it again.
Nelson.
I think the 40% of the staff who can do would be a fair chance to actually pass them. Right now, there's a slight chance that it won't pass, which would counteract everything that we worked on this resolution, so that's one reason in and of itself. The other reason is because I would really like to see those that have expressed strong concerns either contact me directly or show up our name and voice their concerns versus showing up to Senate the night out without voicing a single concern to the audience. And that's why I'm asking this in the sense here. Again, I would like to take the time to take into consideration what I heard in the Senate meeting to make my own amendments in my own voice and prevent the stronger cases. And that's not reason enough, but I don't really know what is. The recall mechanism of sending items back to committee to make them stronger than used in the past. Based on political reasons or personal objections seems wildly inappropriate. So.
Great. That is the end of my speakers list on this motion. We'll now proceed into a placard vote on whether to send Senate Bill point of information. Senator Rink. We will now proceed to a placard vote on whether to send Senate Bill 61 back to Relations and Affairs. All those in favor, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? And abstentions. Great. The motion to send back to committee passes 13-3-4, which means we will move into new business. Okay, give me 1 second. I got Medina, Donnell, Anderson, and Mitchell. Senator Medina.
Okay. On the topic of sustainability, I will be proposing a resolution the next time we see it. I don't know when, but it'll be my paper towel compost pilot program.
Can you give the resolution a name?
Yeah, the resolution.
Like one resolution regarding something and then the name,
resolution regarding the creation, encouraging. I don't remember the name. Do you mind if
Can you just like make up the name?
Oh,
Yeah, you can use your
well,
phone.
I don't. Okay,
I'll
I'm
come
gonna
back
use
to
my
you.
phone. Okay, please come back to me. Sorry,
Senator
y'all.
Donnell.
I have two, so can I propose one and then I follow up?
Mhm.
My first one is resolution amending Article 5, Section 2 of the ASUM bylaws. To be sent to RNA.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm writing this down for you.
And then can you give a brief explanation?
Yeah, so this is the section of the bylaws that pertains to the Relations and Affairs Committee. Just thinking about this for a while now, there's a section regarding do not pass or do pass recommendations. And this resolution is addressing those and why I see that it's situated.
And then your second?
Resolution encouraging university commitments to a 35% energy reduction.
And then would you like that to be sent to sustainability?
Sustainability and
Relations and Affairs. Got it. Good insurance. All right, Senator Donnell, look off the ship.
So this is authored by Melody Haller, who is the president of the campus Climate Response Club. Yep, and she's great. She asked for some sponsorship, and I was very glad to give it. This resolution regards a plan that is currently in place by many and currently being petitioned by many students for 35% energy reduction campus-wide. It's well aligned with many campus plans that are already being somewhat established by the administration and committee. And this resolution is an effort to follow through with those commitments and encourage further commitments by other people on campus who haven't expressed such a want or need to do that.
Senator Anderson.
One resolution, RNA and GPSC. supporting an increase in pay and benefits for teachers assistants and research assistants.
We'll give a secretary a minute to type that up, GPSC and RNA.
Resolution. Can you restate it?
Resolution supporting an increase in pay and benefits for teacher assistants and research assistants.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so this resolution is gonna be in conjunction with the letter we are writing for graduate council. It would be asking ASUM to support the increase in the base pay for the TA and RA positions at the graduate level, and we would also ask them to support the increase in the benefits like healthcare coverage for our TAs and RAs. We do represent, like, graduate students are 38-ish% of campus, and we do represent their interests as well, so I feel like this is a very important.
President Belcher.
One resolution to RNA endorsing the ASUM activity fee adjustments.
Authorship.
Yeah, so it's basically the saying that ASUM as an organization endorses the adjustments to the ASUM activities, which for everyone's review are restructuring it so that part-time students pay $35 and increasing it by $3.
And last time speakers is Senator Medina.
Okay, sorry about earlier. This is my first resolution, so I'm a bit nervous, but, okay, so resolution encouraging the creation of a campus-wide paper towel compost program.
And would you like that to be sent to RNA?
Yes,
And then, and any others?
Sustainability Board and Zero Waste.
Okay. Get a Senate resolution once it passes. All right,
Can you restate the resolution?
Yes, I do just want.
okay, we're gonna secretary to set that up.
I'm good.
All right. Go ahead and give a quick authorship.
Yeah, so the forestry building with its 2 bathrooms plus the 4th floor clap building, our office space has been composting all the paper towels. And we, for well over 8 months, and we've diverted 940 gallons out of landfill. So this resolution would just be to encourage, I guess, or like just get Senate support on this for it to be campus-wide so we can divert a lot out of the landfill. So, thanks.
President Belcher.
One resolution to RNA supporting an audit of pay equity at the University of Montana.
Just RNA. Okay, good. Good, quick authorship.
Oh, yeah, so a discussion that's been happening on this campus for quite some time is that there may be issues concerning pay equity among faculty, staff, and from my perspective, student employees. One proposed solution to this that's been kicked around is doing an audit, however, that has not yet been committed to or decided, so I just wanted to make sure that there was formalized student support for conducting the audit of pay equity. I think that an audit of pay equity would have a lot of positive impacts on campus. I don't think there's any harm that it could do, and there's a lot of, I could go on this forever, but there's a lot of studies to show that institutions that have more equitable pay structures produce more successful students, are more productive workplaces to conduct business in, et cetera. If anyone wants to chat about pay equity in the workplace, stop by my office hours. I'd love to.
Any more resolutions or any more new business? Last call for new business. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Point
of parliamentary inquiry by Senator Corpus first, my apologies. Sorry, I don't know, like 6, I think it was 6, 7.
Well, no, 6.
6, so, all right. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Senator Fulton, seconded by Senator Gregory. Unanimous consent has been called. Is there any discussion or objection? Discussion or objection, discussion or objection? Seeing none, this meeting ends at 10:12 p.m.
more meeting. Keep